jump right into it because we have so much to talk about. Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode. I think this is episode 30 of the Fight Plug.
Episode 30.
But this is our special UFC 280 preview breakdown edition of the Fight Plug podcast. We are going to recap a little bit of what happened this past weekend between Alexa Grasso and that card, but 280 is just like so stacked. I don't want to spend too much time on it.
Yeah, we really only have to do this twice a year, really, too. So it's not like it's like this one and International Fight Weeks are the only weeks where there's like that many fights to really break down.
Pretty much, yeah. On any given
beforehand,
UFC pay-per-view,
because sometimes on a fucking fight night, every fight's a banger, and you just have to talk about it. There's been a handful of those, I feel like, since we started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This one's the one, like, beforehand, for sure, you have to talk about all of it.
Yeah. And the longer we do this show, too, like, we're going to be compelled to want to talk about more and more because, I mean, forcing ourselves to do this not forcing ourselves, like we're doing it because we like to do it, but we are forcing ourselves to watch more fights, like a lot more fights that we probably would have been willing to skip over or, weren't really too bent out of shape about if we missed it.
I missed like a round of the Victor Henry fight, and I was pissed at my family. I was like, "You fucking, you couldn't wait 10 minutes for chicken tenders, dude."
My parents just bought a brand new TV this past weekend because their old one died on them, and of course they wanted me to help them set up everything because nowadays with every new TV you need to log into all the different streaming services and everything.
Oh my god, it's such a fucking headache, dude.
Of course, and of course they don't know any of their passwords or anything like that, so I got to go through and get into my mom's email and request password resets for all of them and punch in the passwords with the remote control because a lot of them still don't have that thing where you can scan the QR code. TV manufacturers or developers who make software for smart TVs nowadays, just across the board, it needs to be to where you can just scan a QR code with your phone and log in with like your phone, even if it's just a way to punch in the password.
If there was a way that they could market easier to you and keep your subscriptions cleaner, where they were but it obviously helps them in some way to not make it more streamlined. So they don't do it. I'm sure there's something about if we make it easier for them to just scan their phones and do it, then they're going to be way more streamlined as far as like subscriptions and canceling and not using, who needs Peacock, Paramount, HBO?
Who does need Peacock?
Hulu, Netflix. Who needs all those, right?
There are so
many.
But
when you buy a new smart TV, they fucking put that on there already, and so you have to go through it one way or another. If it was just a blank canvas, scan your phone to what you like, you wouldn't have to do it. And I guess they're banking on there's way more, but like 1 million different streaming apps. You have to go through each one and like literally say like, I don't want this on my TV. And then they're going to get you because it's a new TV. Hey, 90 days. Just give us, do you already have an email? Put your email in. And then they just fucking charge you. It's like they do it with like gym memberships. They make more money from people who don't use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and you already have your payment info like on the TV from these other apps. Just give Paramount Plus a shot. Or Discovery Plus. Look at us over here talking about streaming services when I was talking, we're not going to have time to cover the aggressive.
We're not going to have time. Man.
But yeah, no, I missed a few of the fights too, but I caught all the ones.
There goes the old Ozdemir fight. We're not going to be talking about that one now.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Nikita Krylov and Volkan Ozdemir.
Nikita, we're sorry about that. We don't have time for you.
Let's go in reverse chronological order. Start off at the top of the card: Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araujo, and kind of recap the fight. Or I'll do a quick recap. 5-round unanimous decision for Alexa Grasso. Wasn't a bad fight. Wasn't a particularly great fight. Nothing from the winner really made me feel... I already kind of knew going in that even after, if she won this fight, I was going to feel like Alexa Grasso probably needs one or two more to be ready for Valentina Shevchenko. On paper, she's probably earned it. It doesn't take a whole lot to earn a title shot at flyweight, despite the fact that the division is getting better every month. But there's a much more pertinent or a much more important matchup this weekend between Chookagian. You know what? I'm not even going to get into that.
Right.
Alexa Grasso said it herself. There's no point in even speculating. Afterwards, Paul Felder kind of awkwardly asked her, so I got to ask, what's next? What do you want after this? And she's like, I don't know. I maybe need one more fight. And it's like, okay, well, there it is. Like, you're not ready for this fight. You're telling us you're not ready for this fight. I don't see the point in speculating over it. She kind of looked, I don't know if I sent you this message or if I just sent Mike, but coming out of that fight, Alexa Grasso just looks good enough to where if she did get the Valentina Shevchenko fight next, we would just be praising her for her toughness and nothing more. I don't see any different.
See, that's the thing about it is, I mean, you can't speculate. There's a fight coming up this weekend. That's kind of more. And then is Shevchenko going to duck Taila Santos? Like, is that she's just not going to fight her? Because I think it warrants a. I was like one of those unstable-minded people that just said Taila Santos won. I was wrong, but like I think if you took Grasso, say Manon Fiorot wins on Saturday, and then you have Taila Santos. Taila Santos out of those three would deserve the fight again. To me,
if Manon Fiorot won this weekend,
yeah, maybe if she did something wild, like it was just either any fighter within striking distance of a title shot that does something wild in a huge card could warrant it. But do you think that would really happen? And that could happen in the well, damn it, see, I don't know why I'm doing this.
It's okay. By all means, ask me questions.
You see what
back.
I'm saying, though?
I don't mind. Yeah,
I would put it in order of like if Fiorot wins Saturday, I would put it as Santos, Fiorot, and then Grasso. And then if Chookagian wins, I would do Santos, Grasso, Chookagian.
Okay. Oh, interesting. You'd give Grasso the jump over Chookagian in that situation with the win over. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, really. I would probably give Manon the edge just because, not that I don't think that Taila Santos did well. I thought she did better than anybody else has done against Shevchenko. Well, other than the people who actually have beat Shevchenko, but at flyweight, I think that I guess the reason I don't have a problem giving Manon Fiorot the edge and awarding her a title fight if she gets the win this weekend is because I kind of have faith that Taila Santos will get back there anyways. It's like I said, it's a deepening division. There are more prospects that are going to be turning into contenders on the horizon, but they're not all like banging on the door to where Taila Santos with a few decent wins or one decent win isn't going to be right back into the title picture. But I like what you're laying down too.
But see, that's the thing is like, I guess it's for me just wanting that fight and playing it how I would do it to make me like it more, because I don't want Taila Santos to turn into like another gentleman fighting with Beneil Dariush, where it just couldn't get done. Just couldn't get done. Deserved it. Just couldn't get done. And it's like, oh, that fucking sucks, because years turn into injuries, turn into, well, shit, you better win this fucking huge fucking fight.
Yeah. Turn into what do you mean you're not going to be a last minute backup for this fight, even though you've already earned a title shot? Yeah.
It can turn into that quick, and I just wouldn't hate to see that happen to her.
It's a good example, and we will get into that too, talking about our 280 discussion, because Benny Dariush is locking horns with Mateusz Gamrot, and yeah, just so much good there. We almost can't even just talk about this fight night card without already dipping into the 280 stuff. But yeah, Alexa Grasso, her record improves to 15-3. Viviane Araujo is
what a beautiful fight to watch.
11-4.
I just love to. I liked watching it. It really was like cool to watch it. It wasn't because they were just beating the shit out of each other back and forth. It was just very clean, very clean, very yes. Yeah. I like what you did there.
Good skills.
I don't know about. Oh, okay, I see. It's like I see what they're doing.
Yeah, I didn't devolve into sloppiness or anything. I would say my biggest criticisms of the fight. Let me silence this phone. My biggest criticisms, and it's something that Dominic Cruz also mentioned on the broadcast that I picked up on, and I couldn't not notice it later on, is that, he said neither girl was doing much throwing any feints. And it's like, it was a little bit funny because not too long, like literally like 30 seconds after he said that, Viviane Araujo was throwing some feints. But I did notice that Grasso wasn't, and he was spot on about that. She totally was not throwing any feints at all. And it was even more like telling because there was some points later in the fight when Araujo was kind of like doing some taunting and doing some little dancing around, and Grasso legitimately was just like right there, not bouncing, not like forcing her to kind of like stay on her toes or anything. And then there was a little bit of that element, which this is kind of like a double-edged sword because it is also kind of entertaining when fights unfold like this. There was a little bit of the like we're just taking turns kind of deal. We're not really trying to do anything to throw either girl off of our rhythm. You're just like, it's tit for tat. Oh, you threw your shots. Okay, here I'm going to set up and throw my shots, and then back and forth. And my last criticism of the fight, and then like I said, not a bad fight technically, a really really good WMMA fight, but my last criticism of the fight was just that you could tell who was going to win by like the second round. Like I just didn't see
cruise control.
Yeah, I didn't see Araujo really doing anything that made me think like, oh, she's going to potentially turn this around. I thought that the power in her strikes was kind of make a bigger difference than it did, and I think she just ultimately didn't throw enough for that power edge, that implied power edge. We're not even sure if she has the edge in power. It just didn't make a difference, or didn't have a chance to make a difference.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that I took away from it, Grasso's stock didn't rise a whole ton out of it for me, more so than it did when it went into the fight. She definitely wouldn't look out of the thing that I thought as soon as I turned it off and kind of went about my day and then had another little thought after, was that if she did fight Shevchenko, she would not look out of place. It wouldn't look such a huge striking difference from Shevchenko to Grasso, to where it's like, this chick, she's just not ready. But she still wouldn't win though.
I could see that. Yeah, like it's not a kind of performance that's going to make me think that Shevchenko is going to run through her or just like starch her in any way. So yeah, that's a good point. Looking at the flyweight rankings right now, and just to play matchmaker a little bit for Alexa Grasso, things aren't super clear, but we did mention the name Taila Santos, and right now I'm expecting that, after. Okay, I don't want to bury the lead here and talk about Manon Fiorot versus Chookagian again, but depending on how that fight plays out, I think that one of the only options or other fighters who's close in the ranks and not booked would be Taila Santos for Alexa Grasso. I think that would be an interesting fight.
I would like that one. Yeah.
Taila Santos on Tapology is ranked 3rd in the division, and Alexa Grasso is ranked 4th, and everyone else is pretty booked up. They just announced that Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy fight today.
I didn't see that one. Wow, okay.
Yeah, that one's booked. I think that's for 283. I'll have to take a look. January 21st, UFC 283. Lauren Murphy versus Andrade. Jennifer Maia is booked with Marina Moroz, and I don't think she's going to want to fight too much lower than that. So anyways, a lot of interesting things going forward. We'll see what happens this Saturday, and that'll give us a much better outlook of the flyweight division and how things are going to play out with the Bullet. Let's go to our co-main event. Jonathan Martinez gets the finish over Cub Swanson, and man, dude, this one was hard to watch. When he got those last few leg kicks.
There's a few leg kicks,
yeah. The second one, okay, because like he landed like 2 leg kicks in a row that made Cub Swanson just pretty much collapse. And Cub, all credit to him, he got back up to his feet and played it off well. His movement didn't look too encumbered, But after that second one, I was like, "Oh, dude, kick him in the head, please!
Man.
Don't kick him in the leg." It's so weird because I think I don't want to see him get kicked in the. I would rather see him get knocked out by getting kicked in the head.
Dude, straight up. This is gonna sound so fucking dumb, but I don't feel as bad saying it because of the bullshit Cub Swanson did in the interview where he just had his friend talk for him, and then that happens to you. Okay, dude, you're fucking okay, dude. Wow. But
that's right. We didn't have a chance to talk about. Did we talk about that in the last episode?
It didn't. Because we hadn't happened yet. We did it on we taped on Tuesday. It happened on Wednesday or Thursday. That was the stupidest fucking thing, and I was like, "You better fucking win by a lot, dog." and Martinez even said in the post fight, he's like, "I don't know why he did that. That is so weird." And he's like, it really sucks because like I'm trying to hype a fight. I'm trying to get my name out there and make some sound bites where he says something, I say something, then my name's in the news for a little bit. But I didn't know you just didn't have to talk. And he's like, I get he's Cub Swanson, but okay. So it felt good fucking kicking him, and I didn't mind doing it again. And I was like, God damn. Well, goddamn. And I was like, that's great. But when you said fucking kick him in the head and just end it, dude, I straight up thought like a fucking crazy intrusive thought was I remember going to my aunt's house and she had this dog forever, and that dog was in fucking pain, and it was like, just kill this dog. Just kill this dog. And then the dog wouldn't eat, or the dog would fucking she wouldn't eat, or it would like mess itself, like make a mess. And then my aunt would just get mad at it and yell at it, and it's like, just kill it. Just hey, just off it.
Be a responsible dog owner.
Yeah. And man, and that's like the thought I had. I was like, dang, dude, just let this guy go in peace. Like our brother in Christ is dying out. He's like, he was fighting for his life. Cub was like fighting for his fucking life out there. And what was crazy was Martinez always kind of seemed, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest, because I called him Joe Martinez just because I love Joe Martinez so much. But I was like going back and forth between John and Joe, and like in our post.
I called Angela Lee on our last episode. But anyways, go on.
But I had actually seen a Martinez fight before, and it didn't seem, and then in the lead up watched a couple of like the highlight package that the UFC puts together for him, and you always see there's like a little bit of like he gets into these things where he's kicking, he's striking. And he could end the fight, and he always seemed a little like, just kind of like, dude, just go, you got him right there. And he would just kind of like wait, and maybe teep instead of going after the head kick, or he would kind of push back and go back to his routine, the 1-2 leg kick, where it's like, nah, dude, just go to the dome, you can probably take him out. And this one, he just did not care. That was brutal as fuck.
Yeah, a real soft-spoken guy. And going back to what you said about Cub Swanson's stunt about like having the pro wrestling style manager like speak for him and answer all of his questions at like media day,
dressed like a goth cholo.
Yeah, I hadn't actually considered what you said, because I heard Jonathan Martinez's like kind of comment about it very briefly. Yeah. I haven't watched I watched like the highlights of his post fight scrum. And yeah, that's a really good point. It's like, yo, I'm kind of a nobody right now, dude. Like, I'm kind of counting on you to sell this fight for both of us, to some extent. Like, I need that. Like, I don't need you to just show up.
Use your voice.
Yeah. And also because, like, Cub, that's not really going to do much for you because everyone just knows you're not that guy. Like, you've never been that guy. Just
shtick.
Be normal, dude. Like, yeah. So, yeah, that must have been very, very frustrating for
And he doesn't owe Martinez anything.
He doesn't. Yeah.
But he really, like, it's like if you do that and then kick the shit out of Martinez, then fine. But really, he didn't get the pop off of it. He didn't get the
rub.
He didn't really get the word is so easy. He didn't get the result out of what he did that he thought he was gonna get. He thought, I'm gonna look cool. I'm gonna beat this guy's ass. Everyone's gonna forget about him. No one's really even gonna remember this.
People are gonna be like, "Who's this new Cub Swanson?" And
now everybody's gonna remember it, and then you're gonna get asked about it next time the guy who your interpreter's not there. They're gonna go, "Where's the interpreter at?"
Oh, now you're asking questions coming off of a loss.
Yeah. Oh, now you want to talk, huh?
Normally, I unless they're going for like real low hanging fruit, rage bait type of troll bait type of shit to start getting attention, I typically don't fault MMA fighters for trying something new or trying to figure out a new way to kind of like get their name out there or get noticed, because it's a fucking dog eat dog like industry, man. Like it is so much about entertainment and engagement, I mean, more than it is about fighting. Unfortunately, sadly, I wish it wasn't that way. But for Cub Swanson, for his first fight at bantamweight against a really underrated guy in Jonathan Martinez, it was ill-advised, and I think it came out of left field for everybody and left everyone just kind of feeling confused, and then now, like you, just feeling like, bad look guy. But I think he'll recover. I don't think this is the end for him. And I thought Cub Swanson looked pretty good too. I just, it wasn't his night, but like it wasn't a Cub Swanson performance that made me think like that he's washed or that he's completely over the hill by any means. I think that
he got hit with a knee there.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like fucking verbal meme here. The dog, when they like put the cupcakes under its eyes and then they do like the fucking Vietnam flashbacks, but instead it's just Aldo's jumping knees. I was all, or like, no, what's another one? Fucking Aldo's like fucking DiCaprio when he sees that knee, he's all, hey, that's me.
and yeah, that was a vicious knee. Credits to Cub for not going out from that, because Martinez had him at the end. There was even a look that Martinez gave the ref as he stopped, as the first round came to an end. It was like, dude, I could have got him out of there, dog. Like, what are you doing? Like,
you know what? And it's gonna I don't want to sound super racist doing this.
Dear.
No, but I mean, okay, so you saw the post fight. We've seen fights. Martinez looks like a dude we may have or may not have grown up with.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Okay. And then I've had the weird like crossover of going to like these amateur kickboxing fights. I've been in a few Muay Thai gyms here, Visalia, Fresno. And then he looks like that guy, and there's always one guy that looks just like him in every fucking gym or every event, and he just nicest fucking guy. For sure, you've seen him at a barbecue or whatever, but then you like see, and then he just loves to be fucking mean. That's to do that with leg kicks, because it hurts you. That shit hurts. It takes a long time to build that femur strength, to build that calcium deposits over your shins to where the shit you're not in excruciating pain when you do it. You're in some level of pain when you're doing it. You may be inflicting a lot more, but you're in a level of pain when you're just slamming and then a lot of time it's the top of your foot, it's your toes. That shit hurts. And so for someone to really like that and to like take that into a fight, and that's my fucking thing. You're mean. You're a mean fuck.
Yeah, so that's something that a lot of casuals don't really know, is that most attacks are not free. Like, you don't have the type of hand protection that you have in boxing, so that's for sure. So you get a lot more broken hands. But in any instance, like you mentioned with kicks too, like you are almost always slightly damaging yourself to mount offense. Like you're still a human body. These are collisions.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah, it was very sadistic, and there was a little bit more of a sadist side to Jonathan Martinez in his post-fight call-out when he and I mentioned this in our chat.
Oh, hey, Dominic Cruz is here.
Yeah, I love the dead-eyed call-out where he was like,
"That was serious."
Like,
I think you sent me that, right?
Yeah, he's like, I know Dominic Cruz is in the building, and he just kind of like looks over in his direction, like kind of looking for him and stuff. And Dominic Cruz was just like, you know what? He's a bright kid. He has a good future. Yeah. And just kind of like, no, he's not going to get that fight. I really, really doubt that. I doubt Dominic Cruz accepts that fight, even if the UFC tries to make it happen. I'm not going to try and play matchmaker for Jonathan Martinez right now. Nothing really comes to mind immediately.
That was deadpan as fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, Dominic, are you still here? And it was like, whoa, Jesus.
Yeah, there was something really creepy about it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I like it. Like I said, I'm not going to miss any Jonathan Martinez fights anymore.
Right. And that's like, that just goes to say, dude, anybody who's down to break make tiny little hairline fractures in their legs, feet, and toes to hurt you would do wild things to you if the cameras were not.
Different. Yeah. Let's go to the next fight that we covered, and we'll go through it quickly. Rafael Assunção versus Victor Henry. An upset. We both picked Victor Henry in this. I thought that catch wrestling was going to get it done. And then during the fight, I remembered why I was so over on Victor Henry after his last performance. It wasn't just because he beat our beloved Raoni Barcelos. It's because he had Josh Barnett in his corner. I totally forgot about that. He's Josh Barnett tutelage.
Mr. Affliction himself.
Exactly.
The actual Affliction guy. We all know an Affliction guy. The actual Affliction guy was there.
So afflicted that he killed Affliction. Rafael Assunção, kind of a lot of people were commenting about how he went back to the old Rafael Assunção, and it was his old style where it was a little bit less or a bit more measured. He said that in his more recent fights, he's been fighting wilder and trying to chase finishes and stuff. And this matchup, he felt counted out. He felt like people weren't giving him a shot, and certainly he wasn't wrong. We certainly weren't giving him a shot at this point. I mean, he's 40 years old now at bantamweight.
That is crazy. I saw that because I have been seeing a Assunção fight for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I get him. Who is it? Gleison Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
You get like him, Gleison Tebow. You get who's the other gentleman that like was WEC champ? He beat. Everyone says like I beat him. Renan Barão.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like that's like that soup of like owl ass Brazilian names, and you're just like, oh yeah. But
do you know
Gleison
Tebow's real name?
I don't.
It's Jenny Gleison Herculano Tebow.
Oh, just go with that.
A mouthful. Also, so Brazilian.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's a Brazilian newscaster, like the Mexican newscasters. That's a Brazilian newscaster.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, but and then I remember after that fight, I was thinking like, well, he just beat the shit out of a very good fighter by all accounts. Can he go on a run? Can he go on a Charles Oliveira type run at the end of his career here? Did he flip that switch? But it's like, fuck, he's 40. If he did, he better do it in like the next 8 months, dude, because that shit's gonna get rough. But I mean, look at Glover. So
I'm gonna have to push back a little bit though.
Yeah,
light heavyweight though, it's just a different.
That's a little
monster.
Different thing. Where you're very right. Yeah. As soon as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, "Look at fuck me."
Let's look at okay. If I were going to try and handpick his opponents to have him have a Jose Aldo like late career resurgence at bantamweight, okay, Pedro Munoz is still around for sure. Put him up against Pedro Munoz, who is not having a good year. He wasn't having a good last year. Since 2029, Pedro Munoz is 1-4-1. So since 2019, excuse me. Did I say 29? You don't even know.
I don't even know. I was looking at Tapology right now.
Oh, dude. Rafael Assunção, Frankie Edgar. Have they fought before? Is that a rematch? Let's see. It just feels like those guys had to have fought before. But Frankie Edgar wasn't always at bantamweight.
Have you seen that that put together of Frankie Edgar and who is the other guy, the tarantula? Like
Jalen
these
Turner?
Guys fighting. Yeah, Jalen Turner. These guys fight in the same.
Oh yeah.
These guys fight. You're just all. Excuse me.
Wait, if Frankie Edgar had stayed at lightweight, we'd have the first death in the octagon.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels fucked up to even say. Not even like as a protect Frankie Edgar. Just like, I don't want to start talking about people dying in the octagon. But at bantamweight, Frankie, they've never fought before. Frankie's number 17 on Tapology. Rafael Assunção is now number 18. Frank Edgar, unfortunately, is booked against Chris Gutierrez. We'll talk about that fight when we get to it. That would be a good fight. Yeah, Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz, Dominic Cruz, and then you give him one like fucked up guy right before he's about to earn a title shot. You probably give him the Merab Dvalishvili treatment, right? When he's rattled, once he's gone,
Merab would have to take it because he's not going to fight his friend. You're going to be like, oh, hey, Merab, you're pretty close to fighting. Well, I'm not going to fight my friend, so let me fight this guy that can probably beat me.
Exactly. But there are 3 specific guys there who I think that, like, if we wanted to really go on write some Rafael Assunção fan fiction, they could manufacture a late career run for him at bantamweight, which I'm surprised. I didn't think I would be saying that when we started recording, but that would be interesting. Moving on, Alonzo Menefield murdered Misha Serkinov. Not a whole lot to say about it. That was fast. That was a bad one. I think it's over for Misha Serkinov.
Alonzo Menefield, which is crazy because today I was looking at my Instagram, and you can kind of like, it tells you like how long you've been following someone, or it doesn't tell you exactly how long you've been following them, but it tells you like I've been following him for a long time, and I didn't realize like I've had like weird interactions, like where I comment on a story or like I post, and he'll be like, yeah, or he'll like say, hey. It's like, that's crazy how you just like know. The guy I talked to on Instagram beat the fuck out of someone yesterday. That's pretty cool.
Kind of forgot him. Low key, online friends with Alonzo Menefield.
Yeah. Hey, Alonzo, come on. Yeah. Come on the show, dog.
Remember your roots, dude. Let's see. Other fights that I watched. Actually, the only other prelim fight that I got a chance to see, I didn't miss our Tatsuro Taira CJ Vergara fight.
I told you, right? That guy is a mean motherfucker, dude.
His control, man, was
talk about different. A leg kick. The guy like got out of the grappling exchange. He got up and kicked the fuck out of his leg and goes, get back down there. And he like kicked his leg out under him. I was like, jeez, dude, that's fucking evil, dude.
Yeah, and that arm bar from the back too. It reminded me of fucking Husimar Palhares and Ivan Salivary. That's just such a slick move to have the back and the transition from the armbar. Like, your opponent can't see it coming. Yeah, man, really, really excited about Tatsuo Taira. And it's not just because he looks like he's like handpicked out of an anime, but although that's definitely part of the reason why. I love that he did the I'm happy, thank you thing. Glad that's a thing that he's going to keep saying. Please do it. I'm not going to imitate how he sounds doing it, although
dude.
I can do a really good imitation of it.
Well, can you?
I can, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
22 years old.
Just a mean fuck. Mm-hmm. That's mean. And I'm glad that I kind of like, I'm glad, just as a self-serving thing, I'll say is like, anyone who uses his stand-up to knock you down to get you to the ground, he doesn't really use takedowns to get you to the ground. Mm-hmm. He creates this chaotic, you're getting beat over the head, kicked in the body and the legs, and you're just kind of like, you're just folding yourself up, and then he grabs you and takes you down. That's mean, because there's a lot of like tap, 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 kick, single leg, chain, I got you down, I'm on your back. We might see a little bit of that in Aljo's fight, where he creates kind of like his striking just kind of to create a weird little opening, and then he tries to get around your back, and then he'll jumps on you. Where it's not as Taira just does fucking some vicious fucking bang, 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 just starts beating the fuck out of you to where you're like shelling up, and then he jumps on your back, and that's it. He has so many rear naked chokes, like in his career, especially going back to his career in Japan. That's so slick because everyone knew, okay, he's going to try and take the back. He's going to try and choke me. So he was just over defending on the choke, and then he just got armbarred. So that's amazing to know, like, oh, this is what he's expecting. This is what he's expecting. He for sure must have thought, how do I get an armbar or another sub out of this, and take advantage of him being overcautious about getting choked, and he did it. That's great. Yep. And he was very calm. just like eerie calm for 22 years old.
The top control or just the ground control in general, good. There was a bit where CJ Vergara had managed to, I don't remember if he swept him or if he got a takedown of his own, but he had dominant position for a bit, and Tatsuro didn't look worried one bit, and he managed to reverse the position. The dude is really slick. He improves to 12-0, and at flyweight, he's a welcome addition, and he hopefully soon will be fighting guys like Muhammad Makhachev, because that's kind of a dream.
Who's on this card?
Right, he's on 280, but
Muhammad Makhachev, Tatsuro Taira is like Arman Tsarukyan, Gamrot type of deal, where it's just like, why you got to do it to these guys?
And I normally don't want those matchups.
Give him the Paddy Pimblett shit. Give him the like Paddy's 28 fighting Jordan Levitt 20. He's a double champ already in Cage Warriors, but yet
even two weight divisions apart. Fuck it, let's do it.
Luigi, he's fighting a guy named Luigi. Okay,
Luigi Vendramini. Nobody's really named Luigi.
Yeah, that's a lie. What's Luigi Vendramini's real name? Because they.
Oh man, and then we'll also mention Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval was canceled. The description on here says the reason for the cancel bout, because it always says Rodriguez elbow infection, Strickland finger infection. There's a lot of infections.
Yeah.
For Askarov, is Askarov botched weight cut. Somebody was upset with Askar Askarov at Tapology because normally they'll put Askarov missed weight, but botched weight.
Yeah, because he didn't even take the catch weight, right?
No. Let me see if it'll let me expand on it. Doesn't say. So yeah, that one hopefully will be rebooked. That's still a fight that I want to see. But as of right now, it's up in the air. Neither guy has a fight on the books, so they haven't decided if that's going to be rebooked or not. So we'll get back to it.
Askarov has to move up, right? The UFC always just kind of does that thing where it's like, okay, this is enough. You got to move up. Show that you can make weight and move up, and then we'll give you a chance to move down, but you have to move up.
Probably. I think now that you mention it, I think this is his second weight miss in 3 fights. So send him on up. He'll be a welcome addition to bantamweight too. Not that bantamweight is hurting for contenders or anything like that, but I mean,
right.
I don't have a problem with him in either division. There's fun fights there. So yeah, you're right. I totally forgot that he's had another very recent weight miss. So
yeah,
where there's smoke, there's fire. That pretty much concludes our recap of UFC Fight Night Grasso versus Araujo, and we are going to get into the juggernaut that is UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev, that takes place in Etihad Arena at Abu Dhabi in Dubai in the UAE. We are going to have 13 bouts. And I'll tell you part of why this card is so special. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of big names at the top of the card, but that's because out of 13 fights, only 5
Not so
of them...
special without Amanda Lemos on it.
It's pretty unfortunate that Rodriguez versus Lemos got rescheduled, but out of 13 fights, only 5 of them are contested above 155 pounds. And there are no heavyweight fights on this card. That's crazy. The Saudis just said,
just banger, 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 banger. Yeah.
Yeah. The Saudis just said, keep your fucking heavyweights. We don't want none of that shit. Give us all mostly lightweight fights. The heaviest fight is 205 pounds. That's the Volkan Ozdemir versus Nikita Krylov fight. And that's a perfectly serviceable light heavyweight fight. It's number 8 versus number 11. Dude, I love this card so much. Let's get into it. What do you want to talk about from the undercard? I'm down to start from Belal and go up because that might be all we have time for. But if there are any shining stars for you or must mentions,
just Muhammad Makhachev. That's going to be interesting. I like seeing him and Taira. It's a collision course. Mm-hmm. That's the one where it's like, okay, they're fighting pretty close together for a reason. I'm sure that way that they're scheduled and matched made. Put so close because even their last fights were pretty close together. So
that was going to be my recommendation also, as far as prelim fights to not miss. Malcolm Gordon versus Muhammad Makhachev. Makhachev is just so special. His grappling just looks transcendent. His control, his back taking, second to none. Malcolm Gordon is no slouch either, but he's a little bit older in the tooth. He's 32 versus Makhachev's 22, so he's 10 years the elder. And Malcolm Gordon is really good, well-rounded, but it's just not a matchup where being well-rounded is going to do it for you. For a guy like Muhammad Makhachev, you need to have elite defensive grappling, both in wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And Malcolm Gordon's not a slouch in that area either. He has 6 wins by submission, so he's not completely inept there, but it's just a different level. And then there's also a conditioning factor where I'm not sure that for the kind of fight that this is going to look like, the kind of fight that Makhachev is going to bring to him is one that wears you down. And Malcolm Gordon, I'm not going to say he's notorious for gassing out, but I think that it doesn't bode well for him. Is what I'm going to say.
We're just trying to be nice and say like the guy's going to get pulled down to the ground and wrestle fucked,
and it's going to get him tired as shit. Yeah.
It's
what's going to happen to him is what would happen to 99.9999% of anybody. Yeah. And this is going to be one instance where a guy who normally looks like a fucking superhero in Malcolm Gordon is probably going to look pretty human when Muhammad Makhachev gets their hands on him. It's not the boldest prediction.
But, what I'll say is like, that's when it's like, take notice of the man's face in the first round. And if they get to the third round, look at his face when he's walking out for the third round. And then it'll tell you like everything you need to know.
Yeah, and we're not talking about damage either. We're talking about, should I really be doing this still type of expression on his face.
What I meant, just like a fuck this.
Yeah. What Dad said I could have been a doctor. Belal Muhammad versus Sean Brady. Belal Muhammad, a controversial figure, if nothing else, in the world of mixed martial arts. He shouldn't be that controversial, but a lot of people, not a lot of Belal Muhammad fans. I'll tell you that much right now. Anytime his nickname is mentioned, it's always, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
It's not the slickest nickname, but Belal, remember the name Muhammad, will lock horns with Sean Brady at 170 pounds. Belal Muhammad is coming in at 21-3. Sean Brady, perfect 15-0. It's a welterweight match. How do you see it going, Brandon?
Both very good defensive grapplers, both very good at keeping the fight or taking the fight or keeping the fight where they want it. They keep good control when it's down to the ground, and they're the ones that initiated the takedown. So does that make it a evened out boxing match where they both know that they can take each other down? Probably hard time getting one of the other guys down, so they have to kind of strike it out. Who wins that, Sean Brady can fucking bang though, and he's a damn good grappler. I think it's like the closest fight of all the fights, pretty much, that are all of the high level fights or the higher profile fights is the closest one. I like Sean Brady for I don't know why, but I just do. I have like a weird gut feeling, so maybe fade me and bet against me, but I just have a weird Sean Brady vibe for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't tell you why.
I feel that it is a tough one stylistically because they do both have similar styles in terms of like what they want to do to their opponents. Well, I guess I don't need to say that. Yeah, of course. They're always trying to do something to their opponents. To kind of compare records a little bit, Belal Muhammad coming off of his unanimous decision win over Vicente Luque, which was a big upset. A lot of people were not giving Belal Muhammad much of a shot in that fight. And then he has also rattled off other wins over notable welterweights, but not the most currently relevant welterweights in Stephen Thompson and Demian Maia. Before that, back in 2021, he had a very, very impressive win over Diego Lima. And that's the one that kind of made me look at Belal Muhammad and go, like,
Yeah,
okay,
same.
there's something to Belal that I wasn't
Same.
giving him a lot of
Yeah.
credit for, because that was just such a dominant win, and it was in a way that was like, okay, that's so mean, because he just wouldn't get out of Diego Lima's face. He wouldn't give him any space to breathe. Whenever Diego thought he was coming in with strikes, he would shoot. Whenever he thought he was going to shoot, he would come in with strikes. And I felt like that was still to this day the best Belal Muhammad performance. And that's not to say that he's like dipped off since then. I think he's only been getting better. But that was I think if I'm going to point to a Belal Muhammad fight and be like, that is like all systems go, like that is what Belal Muhammad wants to do in every fight, it's that one. And I think it's going to be tough for him to do it against Sean Brady, but I can see Belal Muhammad getting the better of it, because I think in some of the ways that Belal Muhammad has grown, he's also become more patient, and I think he's become more confident in his game planning, because that's part of the reason he's not so popular, aside from the fact that he kind of looks like French Montana and doesn't think that it's very funny when people point out that he looks like French Montana.
He looks like if French Montana and DJ Khaled had a kid.
Yes. I derailed myself. What was the point I was going to make? Oh, yeah, no, I think he's confident in his own game planning, and I think that's one of his strengths, is that his team kind of is really, really good at strategizing and knowing exactly what he has to do. I think Sean Brady's a little bit more willing to get wild and start brawling a bit if it gets ugly, if it doesn't go the way that Sean Brady likes the fight to go. They both want to put their opponents either on the cage or on their back on the ground. But
it's a little more cerebral.
But yeah, I think he's a little bit more cerebral, and I feel like I have no way to really quantify this, but I feel like Belal might have underrated cardio in this matchup, and I'm really interested to see if it is just a knockdown, drag out, like grindy fight where they're just both fighting for position on the cage, whose conditioning is going to last longer. Belal has more. Was that fight with Vicente Luque? Was that a 5-round fight? Yeah, Belal has 5-round experience at least once. He should have had twice, but that Leon Edwards fight was ended in an eye poke, unfortunately. So as of right there, I might give him the edge in conditioning because he's fought 5 rounds, whereas I don't believe Sean Brady has. Let me take a peek at Sean Brady's record really quick. It's not looking like it. Close fight. I'm going to give the edge to Belal Muhammad just to be different.
Cool.
But neither outcome would really surprise me here.
Yeah, and this is one, I'm not picking against him because I don't like him. I'm actually someone that likes him. I like watching his fights.
Mm-hmm.
I could take or leave some of the stuff he says in interviews because sometimes he's kind of
cringy.
It's just not fun. So I can take or leave it. I don't really care, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah. I certainly, I wouldn't lump you in with the people who don't like Belal Muhammad because he's not conventionally attractive in the way that a lot of people like their fighters to be.
Yeah, kid presentable Belal Muhammad. The thing too though is just for me, I've watched a lot of Belal Muhammad fights live, more so.
Okay.
Which isn't good because you're kind of like a victim of the moment when you're watching a fight, when you've seen a fighter a lot live, like a Volkanovski. We've watched all his fights pretty much live, you know, and it's like best in the world, best of all time, dog, greatest that ever lived, and it's just like you're kind of watching it in the moment. Whereas I've seen 1 or 2 Sean Brady fights, but you go back and watch because I've had to go back and on this card. Mm-hmm. Outside of like him and Gamrot seeing like KSW shit, I had to go back and watch stuff, and the more I watched, the more I liked it. Even in some of his losses, where like he got his fucking nose shattered, and he just kept fucking going. So it's just one of those things where it's like, the more you watch, the more I liked it, and I just think for whatever reason, I feel like he he can pull it up. But like you said, unquantifiable. Can't put my finger on why, but just I've been watching more of him, and the more I watched of him, and then what I remember of Belal, I kind of feel like he can pull it out. That's so unscientific. No fucking this, and he gets the underhook and the whizzer, and he chain wrestles. There's no MMA fucking analysis, just eyeball test.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah, we can't really give much of a technical breakdown. I certainly couldn't. I mean, there are some things that we can see in fighters where, you know, it's going to come down to the fighter more than our knowledge of fighting, actually.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, I'll know, like, oh, you know, Charles Oliveira is really, really good at this, and that's gonna.
Yeah. Charles Oliveira, ladies and gentlemen, has that. He has that dog in him. Like, that's my technical breakdown. Brad, what's your technical breakdown of Charles Oliveira?
Charles Oliveira excels in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. He's got that dog in him.
The Skip Bayless breakdown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Nate took him down with wrestling, sumo-style wrestling. All right. So, yeah, cool. We're starting off on opposite ends of the pick.
Thanks for bringing that up, though, because this is the worst part of a card this big is you get the Stephen A. Smiths fucking crawling out from under rocks. It's like they've been in football, basketball starting, baseball's in the playoffs, but you're going to get – and then so you know they're fucking – attention scattered everywhere fucking else. But they have to talk about this because it's so fucking big. And oh shit, yeah, ESPN's a stakeholder in UFC. So like, we have to talk about this. Have you watched any of these fights?
As if DC and RC wasn't enough, man.
Yeah. And they're going to say like, I haven't seen any of these fights. I can barely pronounce any of these gentlemen's names, but I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm fucking right and you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You ready for that all week, this week and next week? Because that's what's going to happen.
I barely even have a firm grasp on the rules of this sport, but sit down because here are my flaming hot takes.
Yeah.
All right,
Aljamain Sterling needs to retire if he doesn't win. It's just like, whoa, what? You're going to get a lot of those weird ones.
Yep. Ignore it, people. Let's move into the main card. Katlyn Chookagian versus Manon Fiorot is the first fight on the main card. Like we mentioned it earlier, we almost don't really have to talk about this fight.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about it. Yeah. I take Fiorot. I got Fiorot winning.
I also have Fiorot. Katlyn Chookagian.
Very impressed. Another one, I lied. Sean Brady and Manon Fiorot were two that I had to go back and watch. And the more I watch her, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. A French gal can fucking wrestle too.
Yes, she earns that nickname, the Beast.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a weird
Her
comparison.
pops was a wrestler or something, right? Like she grew up in wrestling practices or some shit like that, apparently.
Didn't actually know about that. I just thought she was just freakishly well-rounded. But yeah, I would say like of her UFC fights, the one that kind of surprised me the most was the Mayra Bueno Silva fight where like it was just kind of seemed like, oh, like you're just going to throw that same combination over and over and over. And it's one of those deals where it's like, I mean, if it's working, I suppose, why not? Mayra Bueno Silva wasn't necessarily getting the better of her at all. Despite, you know, the taunting and stuff. But that's the... I would say that fight gave me a little tiny bit of apprehension about Manon Fiorot, not even because she looked bad or because she was getting or losing any rounds or anything like that. It just kind of showed me like, okay, she's still kind of robotic. She's, you know what I mean? She's kind of like sticking to the script where a more seasoned fighter would probably be adjusting and trying something else. And I think that
here's misogynist Brandon. That's a lot of WMMA, dude. There's very few WMMA fighters where it just flows in and out. To me, sorry, but you get that robot. That's what I hear when I hear robotic. It's like you can kind of see it.
I do think you do see a little bit more of stubbornness, sticking to the game plan when you probably shouldn't anymore. And I could probably speculate some more and say that might be a compounding issue with
is it like
women's
Gregory
coaches
Rodriguez
being there.
Robotic?
No,
when I hear robotic MMA, I think Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop.
No, I was going to say that might be a bigger compounding issue with the fact that a lot of WMMA fighters have their boyfriends as their head coaches, and so maybe they're even.
That's a toxic and very strange. Someone could do a very good ass documentary on WMMA boyfriend trainers.
Yeah, I think somebody
that would be fucking compelling as hell. And then kind of talk about some of the more toxic ones. We can go for days on one. We don't have time to go for days on a certain one that we were all talking about.
Yeah. There's
been other instances where guys are just straight cussing at them in their fucking face, racism, everything.
Yeah. Andrea Lee's boy. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be super cool to kind of go off of those high profile ones and then have them follow maybe a gal that's on the regional tour and then her boyfriend also fights regional and owns a gym and follow them MTV style, like MTV Real World style. Or remember that they did one on Anthony Pettis, Real Life or MTV Real Life or whatever. MTV Real Life, I'm being trained by my racist MMA boyfriend who got me into this, and now I kind of do it and I liked it.
Yeah. Oh, the stories that they could tell.
Yeah.
And it's also very telling that
you ate my last piece of fucking tilapia, you fucking bitch. It's all fucking man.
Burpees now. No, and the same thing doesn't happen in reverse. You don't see. I think one of the only ones that I could
was
think
of.
Fuck
this corner.
I think Smilin' Sam Alvey, his wife is one of his coaches. I don't know if she was
Mike
the
Perry?
head coach. Mike Perry's a special case.
Yeah.
Mike Perry was thinking
Perry's
about
almost the opposite of
that dude was almost
usually the abuse goes the other way, but
that dude was almost auctioning off the chance to be his head coach in his corner. I think they had to shut that down because
Darren Till, because Darren Till was had $50,000 put aside for it or something.
I forgot about the Darren Till angle, but let's see. I know there was at least one other instance where I could say
that's where Raw Dog came from, didn't it?
Yeah, there's at least one other instance where I know that an MMA fighter has their wife or girlfriend as one of their coaches. It might be Thiago Santos and Yana Kunitskaya. I think she's been in his corner before, but not necessarily head coach. Anyways, that's one of those topics that Brandon and I just love bringing up and getting sidetracked on because it's just too juicy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say a lot
Tell
of.
me that's not a good idea for a TV show, dude.
Getting
TV real life. I'm being trained by my racist boyfriend in MMA.
Groomed. Getting back to this flyweight fight with Katlyn Chookagian and Manon Fiorot, to break it down a little bit more, I would say it's a tough one because a lot of Katlyn Chookagian's strengths are Manon Fiorot's strengths. It's kind of what we were talking about with Belal and Sean Brady. They're very similar but different.
And not picking Fiorot over Chookagian because I don't like Chookagian because I think she's amazing.
Yeah, Chookagian probably would have been multiple-time flyweight champ by now, and that's to say she would have won it, probably lost it, won it back, and so on forth. Because she's been just a mainstay at that number 2 position. But Manon Fiorot insists that she has the better footwork, the better movement, and the crisper striking. The crisper striking could be debated. Because Katlyn Chookagian is no slouch in that area. Nothing she throws is sloppy or anything like that. And Katlyn Chookagian knows how to fight tall too.
She fights to her frame. Yeah.
She's 5'9". She's one of the taller girls in all of the WMMA weight divisions in the UFC, and she knows how to use it well. She knows how to use her length well. And I've kind of always compared her to a flyweight Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Actually, I think they're a lot more similar than people give them credit for.
Very mean, bad intentions behind their what they throw.
Yeah. But yeah, for my eyes, I think Manon Fiorot is kind of the future of this division. I'm hoping it's a competitive fight, but I think that it might be a comfortable unanimous decision for Manon. So we'll go ahead and put a bow on that one. We both give our predictions there. Great fight. Number 2 versus number 6.
Good fight. Very good fight.
So good.
And for an arena full of guys that don't like that type of fight, they're gonna get a good. At least they're gonna get a good one. You know what I mean?
True. I forget about that factor too.
Like, they just do not like those guys. Just do not like that shit.
I know. Well, they're not in Saudi Arabia, because I know when the WWE has gone to that part of the world, there was a while there when they straight up would not allow any of the women.
The first Abu Dhabi, like with Anderson Silva, there was, I doubt if they even had ring girls.
There might not have even was there women in the UFC already at that point?
Was there?
I have to look it up now. It was Demi and Maya, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
You don't know. You're just saying, yeah.
No, you're right. No, you're right. We've talked.
I'm just fucking around. 112 Invincible.
And this does actually make sense or need to be talked about, because Abu Dhabi.
Oh yeah, it's relevant.
You know, it's relevant to the situation.
Definitely were no women on that card, but I should be looking at the year 2010. There were no women in the UFC yet.
Yeah.
So.
And that's how we liked it.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't even know what a head and arm throw was. No.
Yeah.
All right. No more Anderson Silva talk. No more Katlyn, Chookagian, Manon, Fiorot talk. Let me close these tabs here, and we are going to move on to the first of our 2 main card lightweight bouts between the gentleman that you mentioned earlier, Beneil Dariush, 21-4-1, versus the surging Mateusz Gamrot, 21-1-0. Mateusz Gamrot is on a 3-fight win streak over. Let's see, he lost his debut in the UFC to Guram Kudladze, which was a tough fight, which is like, Guram's a guy who, of all of these prospects that we like to rattle off every time we talk about like the depth at lightweight, he's kind of like always the last name on the list, but he is on that list for a reason. The dude's a silent killer, a teammate of Khamzat Chimaev. It's just, these dudes can only make so many splashes. I misspoke. I think he's on a 4-fight win streak, is Mateusz Gamrot, over the likes of Scott Holtzman, Jeremy Stevens, Diego Ferreira, and Arman Tsarukyan. And on the other side, Beneil Dariush, coming off of his win that's not aging super well, of Tony Ferguson, also Diego Ferreira, Scott Holtzman. Oh, a lot of common opponents here that I didn't really think about. Drakkar Klose. He is on a 7-fight win streak since 2018, when he lost to Alexander Hernandez via punches. Yeah, man, I could keep on breaking down their records. Another fight where I gotta say, similar styles. Like, it's just good matchups up and down the card.
Gamrot's so much cleaner, and it's not that Dariush. Again, I love Beneil Dariush very, very much, but Gamrot is so fucking clean. KSW fighters are just, when they get to the UFC, they are so fucking clean. They're just so polished and just ready to go. There's no like, give them a couple fights. It's just so. And what's crazy is he's such a good fucking wrestler, like a world class fucking wrestler, and for not being not his own fault, and no fault of Beneil Dariush, for not being super. Well, he was pretty active, but then he gets injured and hadn't fought since like May. We're talking about May of last year, 2021. So, and then just to get this guy, So that's kind of hard, to come back, and then especially like, it wasn't like a wrist injury. It wasn't like a thumb injury where you can do pretty much 80 to 90% of all MMA, you really can't do shit when your fucking knees just done.
Yeah,
there's nothing, very few things you can really do.
Yeah, Tapology is saying an ankle injury. But yeah, it's the same point. Is just like your mobility is encumbered. You're limited.
Yeah, you kind of need your ankle to do literally. Dude, I need my ankle right now to sit here and talk to you. You know what I mean? Let alone fucking go and do, train. And then you're going up against a guy who just straight surging. And this may be way too soon and too. I could look very dumb for saying this, but I've been watching some of the interviews with Dariush, and you're getting like that Tony vibe from him. It's like
he's fed up.
They're like, why are you taking this fight, dude? And he's like, he's good. I can beat him. Yeah. I'm gonna fuck him up. And it's like, oh, are you? Like, oh shit. And like he's like, and then he was like rattling off Gamrot. He's just like, man, he's fucking tough. I was watching him, and I was watching the fight with my wife, and I stood up and I started shadowboxing, watching him in Saryukin fight, and I was like, did ya? Whoa, that's odd. Hey, guy,
Dariush is an odd guy, though. I certainly believe it. Yeah. I mean, who would lie?
And then he was talking about, they're like, who have you been training with? And then he's like, Spike Carlisle. You got real close lately. And it's like, oh. Whoa. Okay. Goddamn.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, where does he fight out of? It just says fighting out of Huntington Beach, California. King's MMA. Okay. So he's out of
Rafael Cordero is not a slouch.
No.
Right? So I think he's got that going for him. Because Cordero is very, very good.
When I think of this matchup, and he was supposed to be... he was matched up with Islam Makhachev when he had sustained that ankle injury too.
Right.
So
and that was when Islam had his huge win over Bobby Green.
So we're talking about a guy in Beneil Dariush who very likely could have been there, like at the top of this division right now, and instead he's been kind of stuck at limbo and just plastered on that number 5 spot, not moving up because none of the 3 specific guys who I've talked about it at length in previous episodes with Dana White privilege refused to fight him or fight down in any way whatsoever, and then now he's at a point too where that 7-fight win streak is starting to look not as impressive. Those wins are dated. I mean, he made a big splash with
the Drakkar Close win has actually aged very well. But you're right, the other ones haven't.
The Drakkar Close one was iconic because, and Drakkar Close has 2 wins now, and it was iconic because it birthed that reaction meme of like Joe Rogan and John Anik and DC like going wild at UFC 248.
Yeah.
And that was I saw that fight live too, and it was insane. And it goes to show, like, that fight alone will tell us 2 things about Dariush, is that he's incredibly hard to put away. He's super tough and durable, and that he has power. He has fight-ending power, and that's a power that he's able to deliver after, like, being on the ropes and being hurt bad, looking like he's going to lose the fight, which matters a lot, which I think says a lot. But Mateusz Gamrot also has power. I would say... As far as the wrestling, the edge is to Mateusz Gamrot. Dariush is no slouch in the grappling department, but it's all in offensive jiu-jitsu. Like, he's very, very dangerous in grappling, but I wouldn't give him the edge in wrestling. So it's like, I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. Is Mateusz Gamrot, I think he's going to be able to get the takedowns. Is he going to want to stay down there once he kind of like sees what Dariush is able to give to him?
And what we always talk about right when we get to this point in almost every single fight that's kind of weighted this way is what's going to happen in the scrambles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, take a look at the scrambles between Gamrot and Saryukin and ask me, what do you think's going to fucking happen? Yeah. Those scrambles were like, it was like fucking surgery, like watching a fucking surgeon save somebody, like fuse someone's spine and save their lives last second.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are just so good at that. And so I just can't see Gamrot getting into a fight where Beneil can do that wild shit or he like a spinning back fist or just a crazy jumping leg or high kick to the head is just going to work. Like I don't see how he's going to let the fight get there. I can totally see if it does, Beneil winning, but I think Gamrot is just so well polished, just so he's been a champion and he's a multi-champion KSW, which is a major European promotion. He's been in fights with just world-class fighters, so I just don't see how he's going to let it get to the point where it's this knockout, drag out, back and forth, Rocky movie shit. That's just not going to happen, and that's where Beneil has the edge, I think. If I had to say, like, when shit gets wild, he's going to have that. He's been there,
Yeah,
he's got that dog in him.
He's got that. Yeah, he's able to fight that kind of fight while staying level-headed. But I agree. I don't see Mateusz Gamrot being pulled into a brawl. I think he's shown. I think he's a little bit rougher around the edges with his striking still than Dariush, but I think the way that he uses his striking and the pace that he puts on while in the stand-up is different. I think that's where the fight's going to be close, though, because like I was saying, and like you mentioned with the Arman Tsarukyan fight, like those scrambles, it just, you see that fight and it just tells me if Gamrot wants to take the fight to the ground, he's going to get it there. If Gamrot wants to get up from the ground because of Dariush's submission threat, he's going to get up. Like, he's going to decide where the fight takes place, and if they're negated on the ground, we have the potential to see this fight play out on the stand-up, and that's where I'm not as confident in picking Gamrot. God damn it,
I love this card, man. God damn, we're not even fucking... God damn.
It gives us something to chew on, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude.
I'll still give Mateusz Gamrot the edge in the stand-up because I think ring rust is a thing. I think that Beneil Dariush may potentially have been sitting on the desk on the shelf a little too long, and then also he has all these other things to worry about too. Or not worry about, but we'll get into this a little bit later too. But apparently, Beneil Dariush thought that he was going to be the alternate for the main event
for a long time leading up to it. It was like last second.
Yeah, he said he was completely thrown off by the news that it was going to be Alexander Volkanovski, apparently, and he said
now
as much.
Volk's going to fight the winner? How fucking spicy.
Yeah. So if you're Dariush, that means this entire time you've been kind of preparing in your head to potentially have a last-minute change-up, and you've probably been hoping for that, and you've probably been crossing your fingers saying, like, yes, please, let one of these guys get hurt. I'm ready. I'll jump in there. And I feel like that's a good and a bad thing, that mentally he may have been spreading himself too thin leading up to this fight with all of these other things on his mind. Then there's the travel. I guess I shouldn't bring in the travel, traveling to the Eastern Hemisphere thing, because I mean, Gamrot may live in Poland, but
he took his kids out. Dariush took his kids out there like a month ago, right, or something like that.
Has he been there that long? I didn't know that. I don't know. I don't know who's been there longer. Oh, I did hear that apparently, and this is going backwards a little bit to the flyweight fight. I did hear that Katlyn Chookagian is still not in Abu Dhabi and will probably be there a little later this week. So
it's gonna be like fighting, like wake up out of bed and go fight.
Yes,
that's how it's gonna be.
Which does not bode well for her. Even more of a reason to smash Manon Fiorot.
Just gives me another reason to want to smash Manon Fiorot.
Heck yeah. And also Manon Fiorot can land a kickflip. And I've always said that skating is the best base for WMMA. But anyways, back to this lightweight bout.
Chris Lieben.
My pick, I'm going to have to go with the pole. Mateusz Gamrot. I've been on his bandwagon since he made the jump over to the UFC. I'm big on the KSW guys. And it's funny, like we can kind of like ball wash KSW too. Like, I love what they do. They have a really like Western style UFC MMA promotion, and it's like it's fun too because they certainly have their freak show fights and their spectacles. They have Pujanowski, and I've kind of like,
he's so funny to watch. Yeah, he's man.
Pujanowski's Instagram page is he's He's
Bob Sapp?
Yes, he's our modern day Bob Sapp. Thank you. You knew exactly where I was going with that. And I'm just now realizing it and cherishing it for all that it is. But the guys from KSW who seem interested in wanting to make the jump over to the States and compete, like all those guys are.
It's a lot of Slav on Slav fucking action. If you like that kind of shit, it's good fun. And then they sprinkle in the weird shit, which is just
mixing it. Yeah, so I'm putting my pick in for Mateusz Gamrot. I think you already gave your pick, or have you not officially given your pick?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You gave your pick also.
Come on, man.
We're rounding out.
It's got to be. And I love, and again, it's the same thing as with Sean Brady, the same thing with Chookagian. It's not because we don't absolutely love you and think you're an amazing fighter. It's just, fuck, it's, shit, it is what it is sometimes.
Number 5 versus number 7. It's going to be a good one. Both dudes firmly in the top 10. Now, as we move on to our bantamweight feature bout of the evening. Was it the feature bout? Showcase bout? I always forget what the third from the top is.
It is the showcase.
That's right. Petr Yan. I've heard quite a few people leading up to this card, like other analysts and stuff talking about this fight. I feel like everybody in the sport right now is trying to adjust, and maybe somewhere along the lines just found out that we've all been saying Petr Yan wrong. They've all been trying to Russianize it and saying Petr Yan or Piotr Yan. I was like, guys, you've been saying Petr Yan forever. I think it's cool.
He doesn't care. It's not like he's gonna care.
Petr Yan, 16-3 versus Sean O'Malley, 15-1. The guy who was saying that he wants to remain unranked now has no choice. He is fighting the former title challenger in Petr Yan.
Isn't Yan like in the top 5 pound for pound too?
I don't really know. Let's see. Would I put him in the top 5 pound for pound right now?
No. Probably not.
I would not personally, but I don't know if he's in the top 5 pound for pound. I don't know if Tapology has pound for pound rankings.
Pound for pound. I think UFC just put out a new one.
Number 11, current best pound for pound MMA fighter as far as Tapology's rankings. Okay. And Sean O'Malley is number 9. I'm just kidding. He's not. Man. Petr Yan is coming off of his split decision loss to Aljamain Sterling. Before that, he had his win over Corey Sandhagen, and then his disqualification loss to Aljamain Sterling. Prior to that, he had notable wins over Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Jimmy Rivera, John Dotson, Douglas Silva, DeAndre. Dude's been doing work at bantamweight. Let's just say that.
Oh, yeah.
Sean O'Malley, coming off of his win over Raulian Paiva. Coming off of his no contest to Pedro Munoz. That fight was ended or resulted in a no contest.
You were just saying, like, you're just listing like who's who, and then you're like, Sean O'Malley, good showings against Raulian Paiva, Chris Moutinho. You're just like in the same breath. Yeah.
Almost one and done Chris Moutinho. Thomas Almeida, his one notable loss in the UFC to Marlon Vera. Which is a fight we're probably going to get back eventually. This is a big jump up in competition for Chookagian O'Malley. He certainly has a lot of very useful tools that he can bring into this fight. One being of crazy height and reach advantage,
and he fights to it. He doesn't. It's not just he's not tall and long for the sake of it. He fights to it. So.
But I got to ask you, given that this is a 3-round fight and that Petr Yan is a notoriously slow starter, very known for taking the first round off. I hope that changes in this fight since he knows he's only fighting 3 rounds. But are you giving Sean O'Malley a healthy shot in this fight? I'm hearing a lot of other analysts actually picking Sean O'Malley. And
I'll give you the reason why right here. Okay, so let's look up who Sean O'Malley trains with. Who are the sparring partners? Who would you say?
Sean O'Malley is out of the MMA lab. I'm pulling it up right now because I don't know the guys that he actually does go with on the daily, and that's probably your point, is that I don't know.
Yes, I guarantee you. And then let's talk about the gentleman who he's fighting against, and who are the guys that he trains against.
Let's see. I've seen notable names like Rick Story coming out of the MMA lab. I don't know if he goes with him. Efren Escudero. Smooth Ben Henderson. I don't know who he's actually putting in rounds with. I feel like I know their faces, but then I'm realizing, like, oh no, those are the guys he does his podcast with, not the guys that he actually trains with. Those are just his posse. Or are you asking me about who Petr Yan trains with?
He trains with Volkanovski. He trains with Rafael Fiziev, Kai Kara France. He just like puts it like he was like they're like, who have you been training with? He's like, well, I spent a lot of time in Thailand, and I've been training a lot with Rafael Fiziev lately. He's had some off time. He's not booked, so he just had some time to work with me. It's just like, whoa, nice. That's kind of crazy. And he's like, oh, Volk comes over. He's my brother. He's basically like my brother. He knew I had a fight. He just likes to come over and help me out wherever I'm at. He'll just fly over, and like, it's just like, oh, like, okay. So like he's doing like, I guess, what do they say? Like City Kickboxing does that. Like, what is that shit called? That is it like a spider or the snake? I can't, or Shark Tank, where you're just fighting guy after guy after guy. And Petr Yan's doing it with like those motherfuckers are just like giving them the fucking round.
It's got Valentina Shevchenko coming in round 9,
and he lost just for a change of scenery.
I mean, they're both flyweights. I mean, oh no, excuse me, Petr Yan's a bantamweight. But anyways,
he lost a split decision to Aljamain Sterling, right? And one of the things we talked about in that fight was his training staff couldn't be around him because of what was going on with Russia at the time. Was still very new, COVID, passports. He couldn't train with. I think he went to ATT, right, or something like that, like last second, and it was very like cobbled together training camp where it was a lot of Zoom meetings, phone calls, and the guys in his corner really weren't. And I guess Habib even said like, "Hey, I'm in town, so if you want me to come, I can come help you because I know you don't have trainers." And he's like, "No, it's okay." So now he's like, well, I've been able to be at Tiger Muay Thai, for a majority of the training. So I've been with Volk, and I've been with Fiziev, I've been with our friends. They're all not booked, so they've all just been able to really work with me. My all my trainers are in, they're all under one roof, so we're all together. So he's like, it's kind of a rough, not a good mix for Sean O'Malley, where his camps, he's been there for a long time. Not going to dispel, what they got going in Arizona. Seems like it's a very good spot for WMA, or not WMA, but MMA in general. Mm-hmm. They do some good things out there, but I just feel like the day-to-day training, the ring time against people, who what that ring times look like, not just here, but in Jan's other promotions where he was the champ. Yeah, who he's fought against. So the ring time, the practice time, the quality over quantity is just insane. And then
Petr Yan's he's just strength of schedule compared to that alone, just the other guys that he's fought.
He's just a mean fuck. He'll fight in the pocket. He'll trade. That's the one thing, is that the 3 rounds is kind of gives me cause for pause because he is a slower starter. But the fact that he knows it's 3 rounds, it's not like it's not like tomorrow morning they're gonna say, hey, oh shit, it's 3 rounds, dude. He's gonna go, oh fuck, okay. Yeah. But at the same time, just the quality overall of just his ring time, his training time, and not only that, he's just world class strength. He has a crazy fucking chin. O'Malley's probably could maybe steal a round or 2. But he's gonna have to, he's not gonna submit him. He's gonna have to knock him the fuck out. And good luck with that, dude.
Yeah, he's never been finished. He's not never afraid even been rocked, as far as I can remember.
I think Faber had him, But then he just kind of like looked up and goes, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Oh shit! Oh damn!" Because he'll trade.
Don't do that again, California man.
Yeah, he's very good in the pocket. They're very, and he gets that from like train. You can tell he trains with Rafael Fiziev, because he's just very good in the pocket and like moving just a little bit to the left, just a little bit to the right, but staying in the pocket so that he can inside leg trip you, which is what is just gorgeous when he does that. So
Dana White confirmed that the winner of this bout will get the winner of Aljamain versus TJ Dillashaw. So it's always entertaining, or it's interesting when you see that play out on the same card, where you get the title fight and the next guy in line is set up on that exact
it's how it should
night.
Be. I feel like
it's always beautiful when that happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not unfortunate really, and if you're a fan of either guy, it looks like we're going to get the trilogy. And I'm kind of burying the lead a little bit with our next fight, but I agree on all accounts. I wanted to kind of maybe throw a curveball at you, because I really was surprised. I think I heard that Kenny Florian picked Sean O'Malley, and I heard a handful of other analysts pick Sean O'Malley. I'm like, what the fuck
Florian
is going on?
Views and going on a Sean O'Malley podcast, or
probably
staying relevant and with Sean O'Malley's fan base, it behooves someone like Kenny Florian to do that.
I'll give him some credit though. I don't really see that from Kenny Florian. I guess Kenny Florian's still doing his battle bots commentating. He doesn't need Sean O'Malley. He's got BattleBots money.
That shit's actually pretty sick. BattleBots
it's underrated.
Would not kick BattleBots out of bed for eating crackers, dude.
Wouldn't kick BattleBots out of bed for leaking oil. And then also he does a lot of seminars. A few months back, he was actually in Visalia. I forget the place, but he was doing a jiu-jitsu seminar at the same place that Marion Renault trains at over in Visalia. And I didn't know about it till like afterwards. I heard him mention it on his podcast, and I was like, dude, he was fucking in town. I could have stalked him. So
yeah, it's elite team, right? Remember Ultimate Fighter when the Chris Farley? Remember the Chris Farley show when he was like, he did it with like Paul McCartney?
Remember when you fought Ultimate Fighting? Remember when you said you finish fights and you asked who wants to see people finish fights in the UFC? And when he tried to take a drink out of a closed can of what was that energy drink they were pushing back in the day?
It was the one with Wasp, wasn't it?
It wasn't
Science. Was it Science?
It was Science. Yeah, I do remember he was in his post-fight interview celebrating or whatever, holding the can of Science, and he goes to take a drink out of it, and you can see that it was clearly closed.
Oh, the Wasp was Mickey's.
That was Mickey's. Yeah. Kenny Florian taking a swig of Mickey's in his post-fight interview would have been legendary, dude. Tai Tuivasa would have been proud.
Yeah.
All right, so we both got Petr Yan in that fight. Not giving Sean O'Malley much of a shot. Like I mentioned earlier, Petr Yan's tendency to start slow might make me think that Sean O'Malley could be gifted around. And then also you always got to factor in notoriously bad judges. Especially since they're over in that part of the world. I don't always know. I think they normally take judges with them, but you can never rule out the potential for fuckery. So, definitely one to keep an eye out for. But I don't think Sean O'Malley has much of a shot.
I feel like Abu Dhabi kind of stays the fuck out of it. They're like, no weird shit with the bitches, and we're cool, dog. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like Abu Dhabi's kind of like that, because like they were just like, you need an island, here you go, but just remember, like,
you want all the slaves who built this out before you guys show up. So you guys, we'll make sure the slaves are all in the ground.
How many died making this? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you got to ask.
That adds to the intrinsic value of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why those buildings are valued what they are.
Right.
Oh, fuck Abu Dhabi. All right, let's move on to our co-main event of the evening. UFC Bantamweight Championship is on the line as Aljamain Sterling does. It's his second defense, actually. I was going to misspeak and say that it's his first defense against TJ Dillashaw, but he technically just defended against Petr Yan. And he is challenging TJ, the snake in the grass, Dillashaw, who's coming off
Valley. From the Central Valley, TJ Dillashaw.
Where at in the Central Valley? I wasn't aware of that.
Angels Camp. It's by Modesto Merced. I've actually been there within the last year a few times.
Born in Sonora, California.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not a
no. He moved to Angels Camp though. Like he grew up in Angels Camp.
He went to Cal State Fullerton. I played a show in Sonora, California, actually. Really, really.
Denny's,
nice
what the fuck is up? I played at Denny's in Sonora. Funny story. Yeah.
It was some dive bar. What the fuck is up, Denny's? Oh man, that's legendary. TJ Dillashaw is coming off of his split decision win over Corey Sandhagen, which took place in July of 2021. Before that, he had been on the shelf.
I said Central Valley. Where from the Central Valley?
Prove it.
Where?
No, I didn't know. I mean, if you would have, I'm not surprised.
It's like right outside of Merced, I guess.
Mm-hmm. He definitely has that conservative Valley white boy vibe to him for sure. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he was training at Team Alpha Male too, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise for me. I've almost kind of like removed him from the whole Team Alpha Male lore already. Like I forgot he even trained there already. But like I was saying, before his fight with Corey Sandhagen last year, Mans was on the shelf for 2 whole years for testing positive.
And then hurt his knee after the Sandhagen fight.
To EPO. He had just lost his title to Henry Cejudo before that. Prior to that, he had 2 straight wins over Cody Garbrandt, John Lineker, Rafael Assunção, legends of the bantamweight division. Past.
John Lineker, though, that say what you want, but that guy's turning Singapore into his fucking playground, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the worst win to have. But I'll say one thing. You did mention the EPO thing. You know, that's, not cool to do that.
CEO of EPO.
Very not cool to do that. But, I mean, of all the guys that did it, he handled it kind of pretty good, considering. Like, he's just like, yeah, I fucked up. You could tell he was mad. He got caught. You could tell, but he was just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I did. I thought I was taking this. That was wrong. It was illegal. I knew it was kind of illegal. Mm-hmm. So what?
But I mean, what did he have to handle, really? Because when you got Dana literally defending you, because Dana today in the media was like, yeah, TJ, he made a mistake and he's moved on from that, and it's like, so we're over here praising dudes for serving their time on suspension.
But that's the thing, though, because normally they do the like, I took this fucking supplement and it was the wrong one, or the fucking guy that took my blood was Jewish. I fucking knew it. And he's just like, whoa, dude, relax.
Well, that certainly happens, though. Yeah. It is easy to be like, just fucking face the music or whatever. But
I thought you were going to say, he's a fucking Jew. He shouldn't have touched my piss.
I think there's been plenty of instances or cases where that actually has been the case. A tainted supplement, as much as it sounds like a cheap excuse, like is an actual thing that happens. That and that's one of the points in which you and I are very not alike, is that I just don't see any value or any point in speculating in somebody who hasn't tested positive before and being like, oh, they're a juicer. So like, I will give, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to put any brain power
points
into
in
it.
Your book for not getting caught is what you're saying.
Exactly, pretty much. Yeah. Hey, congratulations, you've never been on the radar. Once you are, though, I could forgive it. I mean, like,
but when you find out that they're only testing guys like John Jones 3 times in a year, then you're just like, is the system
only 3
times?
It
really?
We can't up that. Should be closer to 5.
Do you want to take a look? Because a guy who's a serial fucking user who has to move up in weight by a lot, who says, hey, I want to move up in weight by a lot, has only been tested like 3 times in a fucking year. Kind of a clown show. When Yuri Prochazka has been tested like 16 times, it's like, what? And then you can talk about
Connor. hasn't been
Conor
tested
got
once. Yeah,
and it would really, what helps? What the guy's fucking jacked out of his fucking mind. You can't even see his neck anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what helps bone density? Taking steroids. Would you want that fighter's bone to be a little stronger in his leg? Yes. Are you going to test him as much? No.
Conor 100% got the green light and said, listen, for the sake of a paper trail, we were going to test you on this day one time during your entire layoff because, absolutely. They can go on and on about how USADA is hired and they don't have any. USADA has complete autonomy and they don't take any direction from the UFC, but that's nonsense. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I'll speculate on that. I won't bother speculating on fighters potentially being juicy until they pop, but I definitely do believe they use USADA in a favorable way for dudes who they want to keep off the radar or give leniency to when they're coming out, like recovering from an injury or something like that. The UFC will always do everything in their power to give themselves the best promotional opportunities that they absolutely could. And if that means turning a blind eye to Conor obviously juicing, the dude looks like TRT Vitor right now. He's just jacked in a way that makes zero fucking sense whatsoever. So
right.
No, I get it. I could see the double standard for sure.
Yeah.
What were we even talking about?
How Dana was saying, look, he fucked up.
Oh,
he took steroids, but he's a good guy.
Dana making excuses for him. Well, let's talk about the fact that he didn't beat Corey Sandhagen. I'm not going to do it. I talked about that last episode.
Oh, goddamn.
Let's talk about the fact that he should be coming off of 2 losses and a 2-year suspension, and he's about to be fighting Aljamain Sterling for the UFC Bantamweight Championship, and I hate to admit he has a chance.
He has a very better than average chance.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think what we might be underrating here is TJ Dillashaw's stand-up. I feel like we've seen a lot of improvements from Aljamain Sterling. I think the pace that he was putting on Petr Yan in both of their fights in the stand-up kind of opened my eyes a little bit to the improvements that Aljamain Sterling has made in that area. He has really, really good body kicks to the body, but I guess I don't need to say to the body when I say body kicks. I was very impressed by his body kicks. TJ Dillashaw, though, I think has been on the shelf long enough to make people forget or to assume that all of his traits and all of his skills were somehow a result of his steroid use, which I can tell you is not the case at all.
EPO doesn't do. Yeah, EPO just lets you do it longer. Mm-hmm. That's all. It doesn't really, and it helped him train longer while he was cutting to fight Cejudo. Mm-hmm. He was cutting to such a low weight. And when you're at a huge caloric deficit like he had to have been to train, he's got to do something to keep his longevity, to keep it from not getting injured, to his stamina, just everything. Keep him in the gym, basically, without, diminishing returns from overtraining at such a low caloric intake. He had to do it, but it didn't make him throw a right hook better or anything like that. His leg kicks just didn't get better.
Yeah, that footwork, steroids not going to do anything for your footwork.
Yeah.
And then also, TJ Dillashaw was also a Division I wrestler too. So dude's no slouch. He was training with Team Alpha Male for a long time, as very, very competent in the grappling department at the very least.
Dwayne Ludwig is a very good striking coach.
Yeah. At the very least, his defensive wrestling, we know, is not going to be suspect or anything like that. I think he's well equipped to go in there and give Aljamain Sterling a very, very good fight. I'm not saying that TJ Dillashaw is a guy who, well, for one, I'm not even saying that he's going to win this fight. I'm still picking Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're like me and you don't like TJ Dillashaw, probably kind of worried here.
Yeah.
If you're taking all things into account, and I don't necessarily, and like I was going to say, I don't necessarily see him being a long reigning bantamweight champion if he does earn the upset here.
Yeah,
but I it's just a compelling match, and tell me how you see it playing out.
I just see Aljamain is just because the wrestling because TJ's been making that lie to that too. He's like, I'm D1. What the fuck? Where did you wrestle, motherfucker?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like such a fucking bitch thing to bring up because, I'll just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not in a D1 wrestling match against you. I'm in a fucking fight.
It's true.
Like, who gives a fuck?
Very true.
So it's like, but the thing about Aljo is he's just so fucking strong, dude. His grip strength, his arm strength, his ability to hold another man's wrist and just hold that wrist isn't going anywhere because I need to get it. That's it. There are very few guys with that type of strength, and there's guys stronger, but they're bigger guys in their weight division that are just that much stronger than everybody they fight. And his strength is the one thing that you see more so than anything else, as it just the one thing that makes a huge difference in his fights. He's just so much stronger than the other guy. It's impossible to get him off of them. It's impossible for them to like control his arms. It's impossible for them to control his body triangles when he gets on your back. He's just so fucking strong, and you can just tell.
He's like an octopus when he gets on your back.
Yeah. Insane core strength.
I think that specifically the ground control and the back control, because I don't know if it was something about the whole Petr Yan controversy coming out of their first fight that was fueling Aljamain, but the way that he took Petr Yan's back in their rematch was something that was like, it almost made me imagine him training that nonstop, like just to get to the back. I need to take this guy's back. I'm not trying to deal with any of the bullshit I dealt with in the previous fight, which after I went back and rewatched their first fight leading up to their second fight, I realized that Aljamain Sterling was doing a lot better than I was giving him credit for. But the back taking is just something to behold. And we've seen him do it against more than Petr Yan. It's a proven.
And people know what is he going to do.
And they can't stop it. Yeah.
You can't stop him because he's just stronger than you. And it's crazy. And then the one thing we mentioned, this fucking card has everything. You know what else this card's going to have? Ray Longo's juicy sloppers are going to be in Abu Dhabi.
Is he going to be in Abu Dhabi? Is he going to be there?
I don't. He's always there.
I doubt it. I'm all Googling Ray Longo like that's going to give me the results I want.
You started to go sloppers, and then you like deleted the SLO.
Ray Longo and Abu Dhabi.
Ray Longo has some Long Island housewife fucking sloppers, boys.
I doubt he's going to be there, but I don't know for certain that he's not.
Yeah. But those guys, that team, those guys are very good at beating fucking world-class championship, well-trained motherfuckers. Like, you can be as top of the fucking food chain as you want to be. You can be one of the greatest fighters that's ever walked on the planet that we all live on, and they will find a way to beat you. It's fucking wild how they've done that.
Ray Longo, he has two students who are world champions over the likes of Anderson Silva and Petr Yan. And it's something that he's mentioned himself too. He is
George
aware.
St. Pierre. He took Matt Serra and beat George St. Pierre. Imagine that. Imagine that.
I fucking forgot about that, dude. Whoa.
Hey, eyes up here.
Dude, is Ray Longo goated?
Dude, Ray Longo is busting it down, sexual style, goated with the sauce.
Yeah, dude, I totally forgot about it. Yeah, I mean, Matt Serra was one of his students at the time. I really hope he's there. If he's there, TJ
George
doesn't.
St. Pierre in the dome.
He doesn't.
George St. Pierre in the dome. He taught him how to do that shit. That's wild.
If Ray Longo is present in Aljamain Sterling's corner in Abu Dhabi, he's going to take it. He's going to take everything.
He has to be, dude.
I think that I was going to say, I think that control from Aljamain Sterling is going to be the main difference maker here. For as much as I said about TJ Dillashaw's stand-up being kind of forgotten about, slept on a little bit. Well, a lot of people are probably thinking that's where he has the advantage. I don't necessarily think so, but I think for the people who, what am I trying to say here? I just think that TJ is going to make it a lot closer than most people think, but I think that once Aljamain gets it to the ground, if he gets in those positions that he is so good at, those are going to be the round stealers. And I think that at least 2 out of the 5 rounds are going to come down to control time on the ground, and that's going to be
you just got to give Aljo off the jump 2 rounds.
Yeah.
He just steals fucking rounds. I don't know. Because you fucking wake up, it's the 4th round, you've been to the kitchen, you have the meat sweats, and you come back, you're drinking that beer that you shouldn't have, and it's like, fuck, he's got 3 rounds. It's a 5-rounder, and he's 3 rounds up. Like, and he's just, you always, whenever you watch this guy's fight. And this podcast, my gambling bankroll was made on Aljamain Sterling. I've said this a million times. It's just, you just don't realize it, and then you go back and watch it, and this guy is fucking strong. Like, there's just everyone in MMA is strong as fuck, just strong. This guy's like different level. He makes MMA fighters like kind of go, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, number 1 versus number 5. Another great one. How do you what is the matchup that you would prefer to see coming out of this? Do you think we're going to end up with Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan 3, given our predictions for the last 2 fights?
Yeah,
pretty much. That's what's going to happen.
If it's Dillashaw O'Malley, though, wow, what in the hell? White boy summer, dude, can't keep him down.
What happened to the bantamweight division if that is the future that we get? I'm going to take a look at the bantamweight rankings one more time really quick because there's something I wanted to see.
Has Vera been booked yet? He is, right?
I will let you know in 5, 4. No, Marlon Chito Vera is without a fight.
In the interviews, in these recent interviews, they're like, "Well, why are you fighting Peter?" Or, Petr Yan saying, they're asking, "Why are you fighting O'Malley?" He's like, "I wanted to fight Vera, but he couldn't wait a week, so he decided to fucking." And it's like, God, that's disappointing.
I mean, let's also talk about the fact that. I did bring it up, but that Dana said that it's going to be either Sean or Peter. And what about Merab? I know we're all upset with Merab because of how he beat Aldo. I know nobody likes Merab.
I'm not upset. I don't care.
I
That's
mean,
when I made my dad
the royal we
like stopped caring about me.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean me and you. I mean, we weren't happy with it, but I mean the MMA fandom consensus. Merab Dvalishvili is in comment sections all across Instagram. It's like, fuck that guy and everything he stands for. Nobody,
for real, though.
But the dude is on a crazy streak right now. He has definitely earned a title shot at bantamweight, and they were already announcing it's going to be Peter or Dillashaw. When in truth. Peter or Sugar Sean. But in truth, if TJ Dillashaw gets the win over Aljamain Sterling, it should be TJ versus Merab.
100%. Yeah.
There's no reason to bring.
You couldn't even argue with it. Yeah, you just couldn't argue with it. Yeah. He just beat Jose Aldo. He didn't do, fucking pay. And then plus, it'll be 4 or 5 months out from that. I mean, after 280. God damn, it looks like some wild shit's gonna happen. You're gonna have the Adesanya card, then you're gonna have maybe the John Jones Stipe card pretty quick here. Everyone's gonna fucking forget what happened to Jose Aldo. It sucks that it will, but everyone's gonna forget that Merab did that. And if it's TJ Dillashaw, no one's gonna give a fuck. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna turn into he's gonna fucking avenge his boy.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's wild to me.
But I mean, I get it. You gotta give people time to forget. Just these big old.
I will not be
big, juicy, unnecessary ums. I gotta stop doing that.
I thought you were gonna say big, just juicy did it again. Ray Longo's titties. Ray Longo's big. I love that guy, man.
Brandon, the 155-pound vacant light heavyweight championship is up for grabs. This is the matchup we've all been waiting for. This is the matchup that I'm so happy that we got. I'm so glad that those other three dudes who we won't mention right now, that one of them wasn't just gifted a rematch. Charles Oliveira is fighting the guy who he should fight right now. I know we've talked about it at length. We've talked about Islam having the questionable fringe top 10 wins at lightweight, but if there's one thing we've always touted on this podcast, that is the importance of the eye test. And Islam Makhachev has been passing the eye test forever. And they're about to lock horns this weekend.
He was our OG eye test. Was he the first Fight Plug eye test fighter?
No, I don't think so, because has Islam Makhachev even... Just a sec. Let me pull up their records. I should have had them open already.
He's fought Bobby Green in the time that we've...
And he definitely already passed the eye test long before that. We had him...
Did he? Yeah.
I mean, after the Drew Dober fight, I think by then I'd pretty much already been like, okay, this is a guy who's going to fight for the title. He's Khabib 2.0. So I don't know if I would have necessarily been going crazy talking about the eye test when we've talked about him, because that's the first thing I checked too, is like, have we even covered an Islam Makhachev fight while we've been doing this show? I don't know who our OG eye test fighter is. That's gonna be that's a good end of the year wrap up episode reward, like eye test fighter of the year. Yeah, we'll have to go back and through all our episodes. We have to start thinking about that in general.
So it was Joaquin Buckley. It's like you go back episode 4. Dude, have you heard? Okay, he's from St. Louis.
I mean, close your eyes and tell me that you can't picture Joaquin Buckley with a belt around his waist. Yeah. No,
you can't, can you?
No, we have to start thinking about the Fight Plug awards, our end of the year awards, and actually tag fighters and stuff and be like, hey, you won our worthless award.
Yeah.
But anyways,
would you like a Red Baron brick oven cheese pizza? That should be the eye test award fucking prize.
That's the fucking reward of a lifetime right there.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, time. Let's talk about this fight, dude. Charles Oliveira coming off of what's his win streak right now? Is it going to tell me? 11 wins. Yeah. Islam Makhachev, 10 wins.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira coming off of stoppages. Round 1 stoppage of Justin Gaethje. Round 3 stoppage of Dustin Poirier. Both of those by rear naked choke. Round 2 stoppage of Michael Chandler.
Now read off Islam's
knockout. Okay.
Judo.
Round 1 ground and pound.
Pretty
Bobby Green. Round 1 Kimura. Dan Hooker, Hooker never should have been in the top 10. Let's be honest. Round 4 rear naked choke win over Thiago Moises. There ain't nothing wrong with that, but of course, we know we can't really compare their records. But I've been saying it over and over, like the main guys in this top 10 who are quick to criticize Islam Makhachev for his lack of top 10 or specifically top 5 wins are precisely the guys who refuse to fight him. It's not ideal. We can't match up their record for record if we didn't know who these guys were, but we're strangely familiar with the rest of the lightweight division for some reason, enough to compare their records. Sure. But we know that on paper, in the cage, this fight is fireworks. Islam Makhachev this fight's going to the ground. Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev are going to scramble, and it's going to be epic. I sent you that meme, our faces when Islam knocks Charles Oliveira down and decides to follow him to the ground. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. I think Islam is not interested in standing and trading with Charles Oliveira. I I'm not sure why I think that, but I just have a feeling that Islam Makhachev is confident enough in his grappling and his submission defense that he's just going to shoot right off the bat and try and take it down that way. Do you agree? Is there a certain way that you see this fight playing out?
He's definitely going to spam takedowns and just chain wrestle his way out of any type of fucking exchanges that he can possibly do. He just does not want no one in the division now would want to stand with Charles Oliveira, unless they felt like they could be the person that's stronger than Justin Gaethje and Poirier or Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
And Islam, to his credit, does have some pretty good striking. His striking to me seems a little bit better than Khabib's was, where they're at the same level of ring time. I guess I saw something today where the ring time between Islam and Khabib before they got to their title fights basically the same. I think it's off by like 7 seconds or something.
Oh shit.
But Islam's pure stand-up striking, maybe not ground and pound against the cage. Dagestan handcuff striking isn't as good as Khabib's, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever will be, but his is just straight stand-up striking, I think, is a little bit better. But at the same time, man, we've talked about this so many times. I feel like I've talked since like so many circles about this fight since it came up. The one thing I think that we'll see that I'll turn around and ask you a question. What's something that we're not considering that can totally fucking happen?
Oh fuck! I haven't been recording. I'm just kidding. What? What's something that we haven't considered? I think it's Islam Makhachev submitting Charles Oliveira.
Yeah,
I think it's a possibility. Charles Oliveira has been submitted in his career.
Yeah.
I don't want to judge anything that's happened at featherweight. I don't want to hold any of that against Charles Oliveira because it was so long ago already. He's a different fighter. He's grown since then. But I think that we're conditioned to thinking that Islam Makhachev
he could totally get
specifically feasts on like these subpar, the guys who don't have the kind of grappling that he has. And I think that's part of the reason why I think that Makhachev wants no business in the stand-up and is going to try and take it down right away, because Charles Oliveira, as dangerous as he is on the ground and as much as he's known for finishing fights, they're not just a control grappler, not just a positional jiu-jitsu grappler. Like, he is offensive in the craziest ways. Like, he is always going for something. But those submissions come because of how outmatched his opponents are and how many openings they give him. A guy like Islam Makhachev, I feel on the ground, it might be a bit of a stalemate, but I just don't feel like someone on Makhachev's level is going to give him those openings. Those submissions aren't going to come easy. I think Charles Oliveira, to get a submission over Islam Makhachev, is going to need to hurt him first. And I think that's what Islam Makhachev is going to want to avoid, because I think an Islam Makhachev who is a bit loopy and seeing stars from being rocked by trying to stand with Oliveira suddenly becomes way more submittable. So yeah, I think this one goes to the ground early, and I think it's just fun from then on out. It's so hard to pick this one. I didn't, for most of the other fights on this card, I kind of came prepared with something to give, like as far as the strategy, and that is as far as I got with mine. Is that I don't think it's gonna be a stand-up fight. And if it is, though, chef's kiss. Like, that's please. Also going to be amazing. Like, I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't go to the ground, or if it doesn't only play out on the ground. I think this could be a great fight anywhere. But if I'm Khabib, I'm probably telling Islam, you don't want any of this stand up. We believe in our wrestling. We believe in what we do. Let's show the world that he doesn't have it. He can't go with us. Yeah.
So the one stat that over all of this, like the advanced status, Charles Oliveira has the most submissions in UFC history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I okay?
Oh, let's see.
I think he does, but if not, he's pretty close. I think So one of the most prolific submission artists in UFC history, like something like 80% of those submissions have come where he's not the person who initiated the takedown. That's a fucking wild stat.
Or he's not the so it's from other people trying to take him down.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That is an interesting
That's a
stat.
wild fucking stat. When it's not just, because
how many times do I have to teach you this fucking lesson, person? Like,
yeah.
Really? You're taking me down? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that, I think to me, that was the most telling stat that I've seen. And then the eye test is that his striking has gotten fucking laser pinpoint fucking precise. And he just, but it's almost the same thing as Dariush and Gamrot, where Gamrot doesn't want that type of action. Like he just doesn't want the fucking wild, or Islam just does not want the wild Michael Chandler style fight. Yeah. You're not gonna. There's just not gonna happen. Dustin Poirier is more polished, but Dustin Poirier will get down in a wild ass brawl if you want to.
Yeah.
Islam's not. He's not here for that. Like that's just a lot of things that Islam Makhachev is, and a brawler is not one of them.
Anytime anyone has given him those looks, all you're doing is presenting opportunities for him to take you down. So
he's just staring right at your hips. He's just looking right. It's like,
you start swinging wild and trying to brawl with him, and it's just like boom, targets popping up, and the bells and the lights start going off and says, "Oh, I can put this man on his back now." I don't know. I feel like that stat that you mentioned almost makes me more confident in my prediction that Islam tries to take it straight down, because as that stat might kind of sound like that would be a bad idea for Makhachev, but I think that the improvements that Charles Oliveira has made in his striking is part of the reason why he probably owns that stat, is because dudes think like, oh, I see Charles Oliveira get dropped all the time, I'm going to stand with him, and they forget that he is 2022's torchbearer from Shoot the Box, and he is an insane man on the feet. He has power. He's rounded out his striking game. He's devastating with his arms and his legs. Like,
God, it's here, man. This fight card is here.
How many sleeps? Dude. This is Tuesday, so
we've gone through. I mean, Rose, Carla Esparza. We've gone through. We did get Yuri Glover. That was great. I mean, we watched the Moldovan Bear fucking throw up some cringe ass shit. We've Smilin' Sam Alves fought like 3 times since
saw the end of Smilin' Sam's run.
We've gone through so much, man, and here it is, dog. This is so cool.
I'm pulling up our page right now to take a look at the thumbnails to see, because I'm so bad at remembering fight. By this time of the year, it's just all a blur. Oh, we had Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. We saw the title changes there.
Very
crazy
cool
shit. Amanda Nunes get her title back from Juliana Pena. Let's see, we had our going down in history as our worst collective pick in picking Jared Cannonier over Israel Adesanya.
I would do it again. And then I said it like the day after, too.
We've also seen Oliveira do work just earlier this year, putting away Justin Gaethje. Volkanovski. We saw Volkanovski really get to that next level and remind us.
We saw Oliveira against Poirier, too.
Yeah. George Masvidal locking horns with Colby Covington in the cruddiest welterweight fight ever.
Yeah. And we'll never forget timeless classics like Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson.
I already forgot about it, unfortunately.
To our credit,
man. Here's a fucking fucked up one. Marlon Vera just putting the screws to Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
Vicious ending head kick. Yeah, it's been a fun year.
The point I was trying to make was, though, like, And I can't remember who was trying to make this point, but it was like UFC's so watered down now, and like we're just talking about Grasso and Viviani Araujo in a fucking main event. Like, when did that ever happen back in the days? It was GSP Matt Hughes, it was BJ Penn, and yeah, it's just like no, they threw up some pretty shitty cards too back in the day, but it was just like 4 weeks at a time. You know, you just had the thing that sucked was you had to wait 4 weeks to see another fight.
Yeah. I thought I totally misremembered because I mean this was already a few years back, but I was remembering to when I first started watching it around 2007, and by then it was every month. You know, there was, but in my mind, because I'm so accustomed to the way the schedule is now, I was like, yeah, it was like 2 months between cards or something. And then I looked back and I'm like, wait, was it? And I was like, no, it was every fucking month. It felt like so long back then. The anticipation, there's so much time to grow the anticipation.
But like, so if you don't have the level or the amount, I guess, of fights, do we not get fights like Saruki and Gamrot? Like, would that fight even have been made, or do they not put that out there because it doesn't fit because it's not a pay-per-view once a month type deal where they had to fill out a fight night? Who did Kutateladze fight most recently?
I'll have to pull it.
That was a fucking crazy ass fight. Look that up. God damn it.
Oh, Demiris
Magulov. Mm-hmm. God damn, that fight was fucking amazing. Does that fight get made if it's not the UFC doesn't have to fucking put shit together every week? Like, there's a good and a bad to everything,
There's definitely an argument to the idea that the UFC almost had to expand to the point where it watered itself down because of where we're at now with the streaming possibilities and everything. Like, it would have been, if all the chips are still out there for all the different organizations to pick up and you have all of these fringe guys, like, we could have a bunch of super popping, like, smaller orgs who still aren't necessarily going to be a threat to the UFC, but are going to build up these guys outside of the UFC's walled off garden, because if the UFC hadn't picked them up and watered themselves down in the process, like, it's going to be. And also, we've reached the social media age too, where fighters are like part of their pool, and part of the way that they kind of like show that they have audience engagement is their social media following. They just have so many more tools to market themselves, and I think if you left a lot of these guys on the vine outside of the UFC, yeah, they definitely would have ripened, and I think it would have been more competitive. And competition is what the UFC doesn't want at all. They almost don't have any competition, because of the moves that they've made. So I don't think they have much to worry about at this point.
And they did. You see, the one thing that you see, like, there's this YouTube channel that kind of breaks down how, like, Pepsi and Coke fought, or how Android and iOS, Apple, how they fought each other. And I think they'll never admit it, but one had they basically were like, dude, they have the Asian market. Like, it's pretty insane. They have the Asian, which includes Australia, and they have a lot of countries that just love combat sports. How, like, what can we do to kind of like blow them out of the water? And they're like, well, our roster's just so much fucking, just whether it's because we're just that good at finding talent, or because we're the only game in town, whatever, our roster is huge. So let's just throw as many fucking events out there, and then they'll have to force themselves into watering themselves out, or they're going to hemorrhage cash. And that's what one's doing, is just hemorrhaging cash. Because the UFC's just like, here's Rob Font, Cheeto Vera, and it's like, you didn't know that wasn't going to be a fucking badass fucking fight, but here you go. Here's Corey Sandhagen this week too. You got someone that to that level, Nope, but that's just that's our 12th string. So keep up with that one. And then one's like trying, but they just can't. Bellator fucking just can't. Bellator can't fucking market twice a year fights, let alone fucking twice a month.
I'm following Bellator on Instagram and everything, and they just, whoever's doing the marketing,
know until it's like co-main. It's
exactly.
Like second round in the co-main, they're like, they're fighting right now.
And I mean, we pay to watch all the fights that we watch, for sure. But when I've done research on streaming, I've found that a lot of stream sites don't even have the Bellator fights. They don't even bother to stream them.
Yeah.
They're not worth pirating. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then they're the ones that allow the fighters to use advertising. So like the streaming kind of washes out. If you're going to stream someone, you might as well stream Bellator because they let the fighters use ad revenue, get ad revenue off of their fucking.
And yet you still see, I think the viewership for Bellator and other organizations is so in the can that I still see main event, co-main event fighters fighting on their cards with no sponsorships on their shorts.
Yeah.
Because I think the companies know, like, that nobody's seeing this shit. Nobody's watching it. And it's a shame because they just can't afford to cast the wide net that the UFC is able to cast. Because the UFC is to the point where they could just start scooping people up like crazy as these little experiments, and they're just hoping that they hit gold with somebody. And once they do, fucking we'll sign this 17-year-old kid. Everyone's going to be talking about the fact that he's 17 alone, and if he's a good fighter on top of that, boom, we've struck gold. And we could pay him peanuts because he filled out Instagram stories, YouTube fucking 10-minute fucking videos for 2 weeks. All I could hear about was Raul
Dana
Rosas
White Contender Series thing, and then now he's gone. But they got the content out of him. It's pretty smart. And then what we're watching, it is kind of a lot like what we used to see back in the day when they had basically one card a month, and the reason why the prelims used to be a lot longer than this too. Mm-hmm. Remember in the fucking pay-per-views when they would show the early prelims like at the end after the main? Yeah. And you'd be able to watch it on replay, and then you'd be right there and there'd be no one in the stands, and then the fucking octagon would be clean as hell. You're like, why is the octagon clean? There was like blood and shit like on this corner when I just saw it, and it's clean.
Shit.
Yeah,
no, I remember getting so stoked back in the day when we'd find out like, oh, they're gonna show us one of the prelim fights, because we just didn't have the option to watch all of them. We literally were forced to watch the main card or rent or buy the DVD later on down the line.
Yeah.
And so I'd just be like watching, like, oh shit, we're gonna get to see the fucking Tomek Derval versus Drew McFedry's fight, and just like,
dude, I bought DVD fights from Sam Goody, fucking UFC fights from Sam Goody, like a whole card that had just happened.
I was just giving Mike crap the other day because he was reminiscing about how he used to work at Hollywood Video back in the day in Reedley.
Right.
And they used to have like Pride and UFC DVDs there and stuff. And he was talking about how when the place went under and they laid everybody off, like a bunch of people just took a bunch of shit home, like stole a bunch of stuff. Yeah. I was like, dude,
Wallace,
how did you not take?
He took Wallace and Gromit.
we were already fans of MMA at the time. We were already watching, and
they took the cheese moon from Wallace and Gromit.
he didn't just take all of the and it's like, I know there's no chance that any of his coworkers took all the UFC DVDs.
So he's just like looking at fucking, I don't know, like fucking Akira
or fucking. I think he took a bunch of video games allegedly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I mean,
better trade in at fucking GameStop.
Probably. I mean, I guess there's also the possibility.
Did we give our final?
No,
I'm taking. We never did. We just went off on our crazy stoned ass fucking.
Hey, speak for yourself. I waited till after the episode to smoke for this one.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your pick. Oh, that sigh. It's a tough one. First, tell me who you want to win.
Charles Oliveira.
Okay.
I've wanted Charles Oliveira to win for months now. I think Islam, if it goes past the second round, Islam, he's got to win. He's gonna win. But I feel like he's gonna get. I want to see him just starched, just like a right straight that was just clean as fuck. They're both getting up, kind of stumbled to the cage. He turned his head, and then he's greeted with a right straight, and it's fucking over.
Islam Makhachev does have his lone loss in his UFC career is a knockout from Adriano Martins. So I mean, the whole question about if he can be finished or if he can be knocked out is completely out the window. I mean,
and that was the thing that made me mad about Khabib. Was like, how can Charles Oliveira say he has any kind of ground game when you've been submitted in UFC? And it's like, how can you, by your own metrics, you should not Islam just should not do a stand-up fight because he's been knocked out one time, right? Shut the fuck. He's like,
why does he even wear gloves into the cage?
Why wear gloves then? Yeah, exactly. Dude, let him wear wrestling shoes.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. I'm also rooting for Charles Oliveira, but I don't think I'm rooting for him.
If Charles Oliveira wins, I will fucking yell, and I will be so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Shootabox shirt in that I will fucking break the fuck out. It's the black Shootabox with the stars, the nautical stars. It will be brought out if I can fucking.
I loved those shirts back in the day so much. Like in the time when MMA apparel was all chains and skulls and angel wings and a bunch of bullshit, Shootabox had the clean, sporty look that I just love so much. And they had like the raglan style, like baseball style tees too, where like the sleeves were black, but you got the white dude.
BJ Penn's Ruka shit was pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude. We've talked about it already. We're not going to talk about it. Let the fighters wear their own fucking clothes again, man. Yeah. I used to like. I never actually bought any because I was a fucking kid. I didn't have like expendable
John Jones
income,
was rocking clean Nike shit for a time.
Mm-hmm. I've always the shirt or the walkout shirt that always stood out to me was Frankie Edgar's. Frankie the Answer Edgar's, where he had like the periodic table card or whatever, and had FE.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I love that one. And granted, not all fighters did their due diligence and
George St. Pierre's full ass fucking karate gi. Fuck yeah, hell yeah, with the fucking headbands. I've been trying to find that for my son's Halloween costume, and then my wife's like, "Fuck you." I was like, "He can't dress like GSP." Like looking for the Reebok squiggle shoes. You remember those?
Yeah,
or Reebok shoes.
If we hadn't let them do their own thing, we would have never got BJ's shorts with the belts design on it too.
Buchecha wears those now.
Fuck Buchecha.
Yeah, he has the. I was like, he stole BJ Penn's shorts. But I was like, well, no, he's pretty good too.
But yeah, picking Islam Makhachev, just because Tatiana Suarez picked Islam Makhachev. She said if that fight ever happens, it's Islam Makhachev. No question. I'm kind of like you too. If it gets past the second round, I think the scales tip heavily in Islam Makhachev's favor. But I don't think I think it's going to be really entertaining either way.
I'm fading myself just because I want Charles Oliveira to win so bad. I'm just so tired of the arrogance that's coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to see it again because I don't want to do a disservice to Javier Mendez because he's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
But I had seen an interview with him, and it just seemed like it's a foregone conclusion already. And it's just like, guys.
Wait, is this a new thing for you? Because I don't really quite recall you being so down on Makhachev and
no, I was very much high on Makhachev and huge. There's episodes of us talking where we're like, man, I miss Khabib. I miss the Dagestani guy. But it's such a blatant And you can say, okay, well, it's Ali doing it. So what? They can say no. They're grown men.
Mm-hmm.
Say no. Don't post that on my behalf. Don't put this on the media on my behalf. I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they can say no.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying about Charles Oliveira is just why. It's just why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why say that about him? It's patently false. It's just
It's
patently
weird.
untrue. It's provably untrue. We can prove you guys wrong. And then we talked about the last time. Go back on their records and pull it up. Is that something that should really be weighted that heavy? It's not. But why is it? Because they're forcing us to, because of how fucking arrogant they're being. There's no need. If they weren't being this arrogant, no one would say like, "Whoa, who has he fought? Who has he fought?" It would be more be like, all fairness, like no one wants to fight me. But they're not saying that. They're making it seem like I beat Drew Dober, so I'm the best fighter that's ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
So
just like, no.
the way they're spinning the narrative, it's just not vibing with you.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right to me. It's not cool. I don't like that shit. Because they have merit, they have a ton of merit, and they've worked so fucking hard, and they've revolutionized the sport, or brought the sport to a place where it's fucking awesome. But the way that they're marketing themselves is just bad.
Which of these two guys do you think has the better shot at defending against Alexander Volkanovski?
Islam Makhachev.
That's going to be the fight, probably.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
If Islam wins, he's going to be the champ for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For a very long time.
One of my concerns about Alexander Volkanovski making the jump up is that we don't get the potential immediate rematch here. I know technically the lightweight belt is vacant, so that kind of poo-poos on that a little bit. But in truth, at this point, Charles Oliveira is deserving of an immediate rematch because of the fact that the way that he's been dispatching of his opponents in his title reign. I know he technically only had 2.
If it's a decision, he deserves an immediate rematch.
Yeah, I could see that. Because I know he's only officially had 2 defenses, because this first one was the win over Chandler, so that doesn't count as a defense. But just the way he's been putting these guys away, and guys who everybody still holds in super high regard. If you like Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier, none of them are household names because MMA is what it is, but they're about as close as you can get for the lightweight division. Other than Conor McGregor, obviously, they are the kind of the guys that they are most casual fans like current lightweight Mount Rushmore. Like, people think that those guys are still going to be the future of the division. They're not.
Would you rather see Islam fight Volk, or Charles fight Volk and Conor fight Islam?
I'd rather see... Hold on, wait. Ask the question again? Sorry.
Would you rather see Islam fight Volk and then Charles and whoever... Charles and Beneil? Or would you rather see...
Beneil.
Volk fight Charles and Conor fight... I guess
you're changing the question. You didn't even mention Conor the first time. Right?
No, I did mention Conor.
You did? You got me all
good thing
twisted.
that we had this is recorded, because I did.
You brought the red flag. You challenged
there.
I would rather see Charles Oliveira fight. I would rather see Charles Oliveira fight Volkanovski, because I think that.
But Charles wants to fight Conor bad too, though, right?
He's said his name. I'm sure he's not going to turn that fight down if the UFC decides to gift Conor a lightweight title fight. I'm not super worried about it because I don't even know if Conor's going to be able to make lightweight.
Well, not the title fight though. Like if it's Volk and Islam and then Conor and Charles.
I think the UFC's too stupid to give him that fight if he loses.
Yeah,
literally. If Charles Oliveira isn't in the title picture because, say, he loses and now they're doing Volkanovski and Makhachev or whatever, I think the UFC is so fucking stupid that they literally forget that he exists and he's not.
Yeah. He's
not.
That's gonna suck.
Yeah, No, the UFC is fucking dumb, and they're going to mishandle Charles Oliveira when he falls from grace because Anderson Silva didn't speak English.
They're like making him a whore for their own shit.
Yeah.
If he loses, is going to be very stark.
Charles Oliveira is not over in the United States at all.
Yeah.
Like Anderson was. They were willing to bend over and backwards and play ball with Anderson a lot because he captured the imagination of everybody. Like everybody's watching this like they were watching a Michael Jordan style of like character performance. You know what I mean? Like you really got the sense that
cool.
you really got the sense that you were watching something special. Charles Oliveira is not. Like I just mentioned, like all over those guys like that he all beat dominantly, the guys with Dana White privilege, the Poiriers, the Chandlers, the Gaethjes, all the casual fandoms want those guys to get title shots again. They do not respect that they got destroyed by Oliveira. They're just, I don't think people are sold on Charles Oliveira. I think they know
I'm so sold, man.
I am too, but he's not over in the States. I think that the UFC would rather.
He's my favorite fighter in the UFC right now. At this point, I would rather. There's fighters a lot better than him.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I cannot take my eyes off of watching his fights, and I see the Fight Plug podcast has come around to where I've lost a lot of money because of him, but was not mad, and I bet against him. I always bet on Dustin Poirier, and then I did. And I just had to learn my fucking lesson. And then anyone that fucking I can be 100% wrong, and you can put it in my face and show me. But until it fucking hits me in the wallet, I don't care. And so like I've been proven wrong, and then Charles Oliveira took money out of my pocket, and to prove me wrong, and that's all the respect I fucking.
That's an angle right there. That is one way to look at it for sure. That's I don't know who my favorite fighters are right now. I have favorites, but to say like I wasn't joking when I said my two favorite fighters retired this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I have like the default like this is the guy.
If it was like a football team and I had to make the choice, it would be Charles Oliveira.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that
I just did not
like in football teams to having to make the choice.
No,
you can't just watch football to watch football, Brandon.
No, I can't. And I don't do that. But I can and I do. But you know what I'm saying? Just like that feeling. Like I don't have any other type of feeling if if Arman Tsarukyan fucking loses, I don't really care. I don't want to see him lose like in a shitty way to where he's robbed, but it didn't keep me up at night. I will be very sad if Charles Oliveira loses. Like I will be legit like on a personal level like, damn, that sucks, dude. That's the boy right there.
I think I don't know who my new favorite male fighter is because I'm kind of the same way. There's a lot of guys who I'm really high on. I've been pretty I get stoked about getting on dudes' bandwagons early. Yeah. Like Mateusz Gamrot, like as soon as he was like about to make his UFC debut, I was really excited for him. So I've been on his bandwagon, but he's still, even now, if he lost, it'd be like, oh well, you know, like it's not like, I wouldn't be fucking destroyed about it.
Yeah.
In WMMA, there's a couple girls who can get there, but they're not that quite there yet.
Yeah.
So the jury's out a little bit. Like Erin Blanchfield, I could see myself being a real big fan of hers, but she's still so unproven, though. She's a prospect, but like she still needs to get it done. And if she loses right now, I'm not going to be all distraught about it.
And then the second one is Jessica Rose Clark.
No, fuck no. No, Jessica Rose Clark's not a good fighter.
Oh, damn.
I can't get with anybody who's just straight up a bad fighter. I'm not over on.
I didn't say because of the fighting, and you know it. You fucking.
No, of course I know you're saying because she's hot and she is beautiful, but no, I can't get on any girl's bandwagon just because of their looks at all. I'm actually the opposite. Like I would literally be like, you got to prove to me that you're not just a hot chick that the UFC signed. Like that's
so by your metric, like Jessica Andrade can just straight get it, huh? At any time of day.
Jessica Andrade is quickly becoming one of my more favorite. Like I didn't appreciate her enough much when she earlier, like when she was strawweight champion. I think the constant moving up and down weight classes and stuff, that kind of gamesmanship or gameswomanship, that's pretty cool to me. I think I like people who shoot for the stars in this sport. Yeah. Which I think is kind of why I'm big on Charles Oliveira too. I like a comeback story for sure.
Yeah,
I love a story of like somebody who's been.
I've just watched this guy for a long time, and I've watched and been like, you dumb fuck, never gonna get there. Yeah. And then then he did get there, and then I was like, this is the same Charles Oliveira that like I saw fucking straight quit. And then it's like, okay, and then you lost to Paul Felder, dude. Like, what the fuck? And then it's like, but now, fuck. And I flipped so far from being like completely not caring, just I don't care what happens to this guy, to like, this guy has to win. This guy has to win. And if they try and rob him again, somehow I will fucking be mad. Like I will, for whatever reason,
Okay. I think I just remembered who my new favorite male fighter is anyways.
Okay.
And you'll know exactly why too.
Okay. Sergey Spivak.
No. It's Curtis Blades.
Is it? Oh.
Congratulations, Curtis Blades. You've overcome so much.
You've overcome so much. So you're so brave.
We're not going to say it. All right. So we've both given our pick. You're going. No, wait. Did you pick Islam also? You're rooting for Charles, but
I'm gonna take Charles Oliveira.
You're taking Charles.
I'm taking Charles Oliveira third round. I'm gonna take him third round. Striking, stoppage to striking.
Okay. All right. I'm taking Islam Makhachev. I'm gonna play it safe and go by decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking Islam Makhachev. We are both on the same page with Aljamain Sterling. We're both on the same page with Petr Yan. We are both on the same page with Gamrot over Beneil. Yeah. I guess it was just the first fight that we were different with Belal and Sean Brady. I thought there was a couple fights that we picked different.
You took Chookagian over Fiorot, no?
No, I went Fiorot.
Okay. Yeah, we basically went all the way down the line, except for I took Brady.
Trippy. I think it's because I was very close to going Dillashaw that for some reason I thought we were different on our picks a lot more, but we are just in line, aren't we? Yeah, man. Okay, well, that's going to be one for the record books. Another 2.5 hour episode. I apologize to.
Are we doing the 10 minutes block? Are you cutting it down like that, or?
I'm thinking about just doing that for the recap episode. Yeah. Although we did do pretty good healthy breakdowns of almost all these fights, so I might just do it for this episode. I was a little worried that we wouldn't have as much to say in our breakdown as we would chewing on the meat and the fat of the recap and kind of like reacting to the fights and reacting to the post-fight pressers and all that stuff and the scrums. I thought there might be a little bit more content for us to chew on there, but we can certainly do it for this episode, though.
Sure. No, I remember you had thrown that idea out there, so
yeah, that's still the plan. Well, I think I'll start that with this episode. Okay. Plus, it'll give me an opportunity to spread it out and release the episodes throughout the week instead of just all in one day. So, if you're listening, you got to hear our inside baseball and our strategy about how we're going to be releasing content moving forward. At least for these big cards, we're going to break down some of these fight breakdowns and reactions into individual videos per fight, so you're not fucking sitting through 2.5 hour episodes, which I wouldn't doubt it if nobody has. I mean,
I doubt anyone has or would want to.
And if you're listening right now, you're probably the first person who has. And I want to thank you.
And thank you. Yeah.
As usual.
Very much.
Much a lot of gratitude coming your way from us here at the Fight Plug Podcast. And if you want to give any of that gratitude back for this wonderful episode that you've been given, please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. And we will be back next week with a lot of episodes.
If you want Kenny to start an OnlyFans where each fight he has to do the show with one less piece of clothing on, then don't comment.
Don't comment?
But if you do want him to keep his clothes on and not start a OnlyFans, comment down below, please, and say you don't.
All my burner accounts are going to start popping up.
Yeah.
Keep that man clothed.
Yeah.